Butler statue, Faizabad Cemetery.
John, I think because you're mistaken. No, you could be in it, but just it's a very important part of our observance of Labor Day, where every year we perform this particular reclaim ceremony. And this year, in spite of the COVID-19 situation, this year will be no different in terms of our observation of those matters and the significance of the contribution that they will have made in the past. And of course, in that regard, all of it is centered around the true father of modern trade union movement in the country, Uriah Buzz Butler. And that is why every year we come to this spot of ground in this cemetery at the tombstone of this great leader, this great founding father, and pay our respect and homage. And so this morning as we do it, the only difference is that we will be strictly observing all of the protocols with respect to social distancing and all of the health protocols to ensure that we comply. We have sought and again approval from the police against all odds, against all of the critics, all of the naysayers, to ensure that we do what we always do today without fail. And so this morning, before we go any further, we want to invite the presence of Almighty God to thank Him for our existence, for allowing us to see yet another year, to be privileged to be here this morning to perform this ceremony as we pay respect, our respect to those who would have given their all in the past so that we can enjoy the freedom and all of the benefits that we as a people. No delay.
What? Oh, look for you for what?
Heavenly Father, we come to you this morning with no power of our own, mighty God. Thanking you, God, for the light of day and for waking us up this morning, mighty God. Mighty God, you know what this morning is about, mighty God. Mighty God, for all of us here, this is the remembrance of what you would have laid on Comrade Butler's heart 83 years ago, mighty God. Mighty God, we thank you for giving us Butler. We thank you for lending him here during the period that he was to lay the foundation for this labor movement, mighty God. Mighty God, we bring to you the leaders of the joint trade union movement, mighty God. We bring to you the leaders of the labor movement, but we bring to you also, Comrade, mighty God, Ansel George Roger.
Oh yes.
As the leader of JTAM. We ask you, God, that you guide, guard, and protect all of the leaders of the labor movement. You cover their heads, Lord, but you put a hedge around them, mighty God, and you keep the leader of the leaders, Comrade Ansel Roger, well protected and insulated. For mighty God, we wrestle not against flesh, but against powers and principalities and spiritual wickedness in high places, mighty God. And mighty God, we thank you, Lord, in advance for the guidance, the blessings, and the protection, Lord. Mighty God, as before we close this supplication that we offer to you, mighty God, we want to remember our ancestors, Lord. all of the martyrs that have passed and have laid their life, Lord, for us in Trinidad and Tobago to enjoy what we enjoy. Mighty God, forgive the politicians, for they know not what they do, mighty God. Amen. Forgive the business people who still have a colonial approach to development, Lord. Mighty God, we ask forgiveness for them, Lord. But mighty God, renew our strength, God. Protect our families and continue to bless the labor movement and bless the leaders and fortify them, mighty God, for their battle is a battle of spiritual good and spiritual wealth, Father God. Oh, Father God, I make this prayer through all the angels and saints and through your Son, Jesus Christ, this morning. Amen, amen, and amen.
Praise God. Let's peace up. And now, comrades, I want us to observe 1 minute silence as we pay our respects to all those who would have gone before, all of the thousands of nameless and faceless workers, all of whom would have struggled together with that movement some 84 years ago, together with our great leader, Comrade Cuba Uriah Buzz Butler. In their respect, this morning we want to observe 1 minute of silence. May their souls and the souls of all the faithfully departed in Jesus' name rest in eternal peace. Okay, here's what is going to happen going forward now, comrades. We are going to be asking comrades, all those who would have came with a wreath to lay, to do just that. But as they do it, we'll ask comrades to say a few words, just a short address in terms of their own perspective as to why we are performing this particular very important and critical wreath laying ceremony this morning, as indeed we would have performed every year. So, who's going to go first? Poster?
Yeah, poster, you're right. Yeah.
Right, so we need to get at the front. Yeah, yeah.
My name is Shalon Trim. I'm the president of the Postal Workers Union. As we join with our comrades today in honoring our forefather, Uriah Buzz Butler, and remembering what he has done for workers, the things that we enjoy today, it would be remiss of me if we do not understand that the fact that if we forget what transpired in the past, then we are doomed to repeat those failures. The only way that we can go forward is if we go forward together. There's an old adage, and it's so true. If we go as individuals, we will definitely fail, for they come against us as a unit. But if we who are a greater unit, when we stand together, go against them, then we shall definitely succeed. Irrespective of the fact that we have technology today that assists us in particular ways, nothing beats back the simple perspective of our numbers coming together, marching, standing, and in all our spaces articulating the principle of trade unionism, the principle of honesty, the principle of the fact that they who labor supposed to benefit from the industry that they serve. As I personally believe that the trade union movement is an instrument of God to protect the rights of workers. And then therefore we must go forward with that understanding that God is on our side, because our motivation, our motive is correct before God. With that, I say thank you.
Thank you very much, Comrade Trim. And now I invite Bego. Yes. Right.
Good morning, comrades. I'm Trevor Johnson, General Secretary of the Banking, Insurance and General Workers Union. And I just want briefly for us to exhort you all for us to remember the sentiments of the prayer of the comrade earlier. And I think today we want to acknowledge our chief servant and his memory, Tubal Uriah Buzz Butler. And we want to remember, even as we go forward today, all the benefits that workers in Trinidad and Tobago enjoy as a result of the efforts of our founding father and the leaders who have gone after him, like our comrade Roger right here, and all the leaders of the trade union movement and of the joint trade union movement and the labor movement of Trinidad and Tobago. So thank you, comrades, and let us have a very good, strong and successful Labor Day 2020.
Thank you very much, Comrade Trevor, General Secretary of BEGU, and also the Assistant General Secretary of the Joint Trade Union Movement. All right, and now we have Comrade Clyde Elder, Secretary General of the Communication Workers Union.
Listen, my comrades.
Good morning, comrade.
Today, as the Communication Workers Union, together with the Joint Trade Union Movement, recognizes the achievement of Tubal Uriah Buzz Butler and all of the other stalwarts who would have labored to ensure we have a decent standard of living today. We say thank you to our former leaders for bringing us where we are today. They have done a lot to ensure that this country is the country that is today. It is now upon all of us to build on that work that they have done, to not only protect what they have gained, but to advance what they have given us. And I admonish all of us here today, as leaders of the trade union movement, to make that solemn vow that we will do all that we can and all that we have to do to protect the interests of the working class. No more than ever they need us. COVID-19 has been an excuse for employers, as we have been seeing, because you know they say everything fall in the sea, shark take it. And that is why we as leaders need to be more mindful that we are more relevant today than ever before. So I say thank you to all of the stalwarts who brought us where we are. And I'm saying thank you. We realize that a lot rests on our shoulders to not just preserve, but to advance what they have done for us. Thank you, comrades.
And who is next? Anybody else? No more wreath? Okay. That's it? Contractors. You have a wreath? You have a wreath? All right. Okay. So there's one more wreath. Oh, there's many wreaths. Yeah, to be laid. But what we are going to do first, in the particular order, we are going to lay the wreath at the tombstone of Butler, and then we'll also lay the four other wreaths at the grave site of the other martyrs, the Butlerites, who are buried in this Faizabad cemetery. Okay, so let us start with Butler.
Shift somebody, huh?
I got it. No.
Alright. Rest of it?
When that's it, yeah.
Good. Quickly cover the rest.
Yeah, go for the next one. Bring the next one time.
This is the tombstone of Comrade Neville Taylor, true stalwart on Butler Right. Comrade Stanford Patterson, a true stalwart, true rebel, true Butler Right. Where's the other? Around it?
This one.
Alright, as we... Are the people down the camera there? Alright, as we close this morning, comrades, I want to recognize in our midst a true stalwart, a true Butlerite, a person who was fortunate to be there in the 30s, in the early period of the struggle, indeed was present with Butler throughout all of the struggles. And that comrade is fortunate to be alive. He has seen it all, from then to now. He is fortunate to be alive, but we are even more fortunate to have him in our presence. And that comrade is none other than Comrade Kuhlman. I want us to recognize him here this morning. Comrade Kuhlman is 91 years old, and every single year without fail, Comrade Kuhlman would have accompanied us to do this wreath laying ceremony and also help us blaze the trail of the march from Avocat Junction to Charlie King. Thank you very much, Comrade Kuhlman, and thank you and all of those who would have struggled relentlessly in the past for us to achieve all the gains that we as a people enjoy today. But unfortunately, there's those gains that we so often take for granted. Our pledge this morning, comrades, is to continue the struggle. Our pledge this morning is to continue the relentless fight that was started some 84 years ago. Our pledge this morning is to fearlessly confront all of those who we know are against us, and boy, I tell you, they are many. But such is the resolve of those who do God's work and who are protected by Almighty God. We fear absolutely none of them. We fear them by the ones and twos. We do not fear them by the ones and the twos, and certainly we do not fear them if they come in their thousands. And so this morning we would not detain ourselves any longer, but I just want to alert comrades that we are working strictly with some time factors here today. And therefore, as we leave here, we will go to the tombstone or the headstone of one Labra Charles at Charlie King Junction, where we will do a similar ceremony, lay the wreath at that tombstone. Now, Labra Charles, for comrades who don't know, and for comrades who know already, I want to remind you, Labra Charles was shot and killed by state police in 1937 because he was a Butler lookalike. And so that was not the time for Almighty God to recall Butler, but because he looked like Butler, and because state police was so strict in their call and in their instructions to get Butler at any cost, they mistakenly shot and killed that particular individual. And so Charles would have lost his life simply because he was part of the struggle and he was a Butler lookalike. And so we will do that, and then we will go to Avocat Junction, where every leader of the various trade unions will be given an opportunity to give a short address and update of their particular situation and the particular requests and calls and demands that they will make for this Labor Day 2020. Following that, we would get into our formation, observing all of the Ministry of Health protocols with respect to social distancing and so on. And we will march on behalf of all of the workers, all of whom we have the responsibility to protect and defend and to advance their cause and to improve their standard of living. We will march on their behalf, a march of a difference from Avocat Junction to Charlie King. And when we would have arrived at Charlie King Junction, somewhere between 12:30 and 1 o'clock, we will prepare ourselves for the final event of today's proceedings, which is an address through the medium of social media and mainstream media, an address, our normal Labor Day address, which would deal with all of the issues that engulf us as a people today. So the only thing missing today are our comrades, all of whom we requested to stay away simply because we want to observe all of the protocols for obvious reasons. So, before we go, I just want to invite comrades. Where's Joanne? Is it close by? Yeah. And Comrade Kiza. Joanne! I just want to invite comrades to join me as I raise a song, a hymn that was always sung by Butler before he go into battle. Now, Butler was a spiritual man, he was a God-fearing man. And such is the tradition that was, and the foundation that was laid, that today we continue that tradition. And I dare say, it is for this reason that we are fortified and protected, and that we are successful. Oh God, our help in ages past, our hope for years to come, our shelter from the stormy blast, and our eternal home. Again. The shadows of the gun often have well secure. Sufficient is thine alone, and the eternal is sure. Oh God! Oh God, our help in ages past. Our hope for years to come. Our shelter from the stormy blast, and our eternal home. Our shelter. A shelter from stormy blast, and our eternal hope. Join me as we sing, at the cross, where I first and the burden of my heart rolled away. It was there by faith I received my sight, and now I am happy. Oh, at the cross, first saw the light, and the burden of my heart rolled away. It was there, oh, I received, and now I am. One more time, sing it. Oh, at the cross, where I first saw the light, burden of my heart rolled away. It was there by faith I received my sight, and now I am happy all the way. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome someday. For deep in my heart I know that I do believe we shall overcome someday. Someday, someday, any day now. We shall overcome. Any day now. We shall overcome. Any day now. We shall overcome someday. Oh, deep in my heart I know that I do believe we shall overcome someday. We shall not be moved. We shall not be moved, just like a tree that's planted by the waters. We shall not be moved at all, at all, at all. We shall not be moved. We shall not be moved, just like a tree that's planted by the waters. We shall not be moved. Sing it again. We shall not be moved. Never, never. We shall not be. Union makes us strong. Our 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 union makes us strong.
Hewitt, followed by All Trinidad General Workers Union President Comrade Nivan Miraj.
Thank you, comrade. PG and the rest of the executive of the JTUM, I want to thank you all for offering us this opportunity. I had something written here. When the maxi taxi holder called me straight from the heart, and I'm going to speak straight from the heart. Most of the unions here, when they are negotiating, they negotiate with the CPO, with government and so forth. Our negotiations come with our line minister. I had the opportunity to meet the line minister, and I was explaining to him that we had 2 members that got COVID. These 2 members works PDR. So you could imagine the amount of people they would have carried during that incubation period. And all I asked that gentleman was to sanitize the city gate, which I get an automatic answer of no. You cannot be carrying the Prime Minister in Curep when you put lights under the flyover. You cannot be carrying him and making him a fool on the front page, giving him a bounce. The money you say you save from that overpass, spend it on the people in Citygate. It's over 250,000 people pass through Citygate every day. Every day. And this man watching me and telling me no. This man was never voted for. He came through the back door. He don't understand what it is for people to vote for him like me and you here. People vote for us to put us in this position. He come through the back door. One man bring him through the back door. And he dictating to me, who are 5,000 maxis below me, that he's not going to do that. Corporate citizens come through, and every 2 to 3 days, we sanitize our buses. But how long can we do that? You're boasting that you save $200 million to fill the 2 tanks, taking less than $10,000, and this man wouldn't do that. What kind of people we have here? What kind of heartless people we have in this place, boy? Masquerading in this place. Who vote you, boy? Who vote you? Election coming again and you're not going there. You're not people conscious. Them thing you're billing is to carry horse when people get thing in City Gate. Is horse have to travel on them road? Stop this stupidness. Come and sanitize City Gate. In any 2 given weeks, over 1 million people pass through there. We were lucky. I am telling you, we were lucky. We were lucky. Please, come and sanitize City Gate. Thank you, comrades.
Comrade Mirage.
Thank you very much, Madam Chairperson. My brothers and sisters of the working class, my comrades of the Joint Trade Union Movement, on behalf of the All Trinidad General Workers Trade Union, I bring you our warmest and sincerest greetings on this historic Labor Day. As this nation is aware, as the working class is aware, and as those who are following us on social media is aware, because of the COVID pandemic, because of that situation and the need to maintain social distancing to ensure the safety and security of our people, we can no longer, in 2020, march in the thousands that we are accustomed to. However, in a bid to pay homage and recognition to the heroes who have gone before us, for the rights and privileges that they would have fought for the battles they fought, the defeats they suffered and the victories won, for the things that we enjoy today. Today, the Joint Trade Union Movement, the leadership of the movement, will be marching on behalf and for the working class in Trinidad and Tobago. And as disappointing as it may be for the thousands who wish to be here, who want to be here, and who are yearning to be here, rest assured that the Joint Trade Union Movement, led by Comrade Ansel Roger, will be firm and unflinching in its dedication towards ensuring we represent the rights of the working class and of every single citizen in Trinidad and Tobago. Rest assured about that. And I want to tell you, the All Trinidad General Workers Trade Union, like all other unions, we are facing a systematic and organized attack by the employer class who is intent on using the COVID-19 pandemic as an excuse to undermine the collective bargaining process, to engage in unilateral changes in terms and conditions of work, to withdraw collective agreement proposals, to reduce wages, to contract out and outsource work, to have workers doing the jobs of 2 and 3 persons for which they were not hired. This is what we, like other unions, are facing. And I am saying to you, I urge you, the working class, to stand firm, to stand tall, to stand strong and support your unions. Support the Joint Trade Union Movement. And it is with your support that we shall not fail, nor shall we falter in ensuring that we always fight for your just due. And as I close, my brothers and sisters, I say to you, I look forward to Labor Day 2021, when with God's grace, we shall again once more march together, hand in hand, in our thousands, ensuring that we fight for the people and the working class of Trinidad and Tobago. Long live the All Trinidad General Workers Trade Union. Long live the Joint Trade Union Movement. And long live the struggle for bread and peace and justice. I thank you and God bless.
Thank you, Comrade Mirage. Strong women, strong people. Trade unionism is built on unity, is built on solidarity. I want to invite now one of the strong women in J-Town, Ms. Cassandra Tommy, General Secretary of Amalgamated Workers Union. She will be followed by Acting President Mario Alves of Begu. Let's welcome Sister Tommy.
Good morning. Chair, thank you. Good morning, comrades of the JTAM and other trade union organizations. On behalf of the Amalgamated Workers Union, I extend solidarity greetings to all working class citizens, in particular comrades of the trade union movement. Today is a very historic day, as it is the first we are celebrating Labor Day without the presence of the rank and file members of the working class. It may be the new normal, but as they say, more things change, the more they remain the same. The spirit of Labor Day, the significance of this day to the working class movement, and the historic march from Avoca Junction to Charlie King Junction will forever live in the memories of all comrades. Let me take this opportunity to express Father's Day greetings to all fathers and those who play the role of fathers to others. I extend solidarity greetings to Black Lives Matter movement, which has the capacity to forever shape the world we live in moving forward. The Amalgamated Workers Union considers itself to be a foundation member of both the JTAM and the Labor Day celebrations. We stand for what is right and just, without fear or favor, and we say it as it is. We must never forget that no government or political party in office has ever been friend of the labor movement. As a member and former local government candidate for the MSJ, I felt that being part of the PP government, we would have influenced change, facilitate a voice for labor, and create an environment, good governance, and social justice and equity for all. Subsequent events reveal our betrayal. Leading up to the 2015 general elections, JTAM campaigned for the removal from office of the corrupt UNC-led PP government, only to have replaced by an equally PNM government, who not only disregard a memorandum of understanding signed by the JTAM and the PNM, but also closed a petrol refinery and effected a retrenchment exercise without showing any care and compassion for over 4,000 permanent workers. For this, they must pay the ultimate price. Let me focus on the struggles that this union, the Amalgamated Workers Trade Union, faced in the 12 months since the Labor Day of 2019, and from all appearances, it would continue beyond June 19, 2020. At the Port of Spain Corporation City Council, Mayor Martinez continued to be a stranger to the truth. The condition of the central market leaves much to be desired. Our president, Comrade Prentice, has become hoarse in trumpeting this matter. To make matters worse, the hard-working employees are still working on 2013 salary, and with the added COVID measures, it has become even more critical to all the matters related to central market. The workers were classified as essential during this pandemic, and they continue to go beyond the call of duty. What we have achieved for all the hard work, exposure, and sacrifice, we are hearing that they want to cut their time and hours. Mayor Martinez, it is a failure, and we call for your removal. We will not surrender, we will not retreat. Bermuda's Biscuit Company, that is close to my heart, where I started my union career. It saddens me to see that workers are being exploited to facilitate a 24/7 operation. We support the 24/7 operation, but with proper staffing and not at the expense of workers' safety. This is highly a mechanized plant, and it involves edible products. I know everybody like the Cricks. Cricks is vital supply. No mistakes can be made, especially at night. The union has proposed a workable solution. We demand that Bermudas put the protection of workers first and engage the union in meaningful discussion so that together we can find a mutual workable solution. Comrades, the Amalgamated Workers Union supports JTAM 100% and will continue to struggle in the vineyards for a trade union movement which will be treated fairly and respected by this government or the next government to come. For that, we must always dare to struggle. Long live the trade union movement. Long live the executive of the Amalgamated Workers Union. Comrades, solidarity forever. Comrades, as we celebrate Labor Day 2020. I thank you.
Thanks. And he will be followed by the President of the Contractor and General Workers Union, Comrade Joseph Phillip.
Good morning. No. Workers, working people and citizenry of Trinidad and Tobago, good morning. On behalf of the Central Executive and General Council and the membership of the Banking, Insurance and General Workers Union, I bring you warm fraternal greetings as we convene to mark the occasion of Labor Day 2020, pandemic notwithstanding. The impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on business and employment sustainability is a common challenge the world over, Trinidad and Tobago being no exception. And in our situation, this impact has been compounded by the simultaneous rapid fall in oil prices in particular. But before these events, and March of 2020, what situation was the working people and the working class of Trinidad and Tobago in? I want to share with you some statistics. I didn't invent these are not conjured up. These are from reliable sources. It has been estimated that in the 5 years leading to the end of 2019, upwards of 25,000 workers would have lost jobs in this country. And we could think ArcelorMittal, we could think Petrotrin, we could think TSTT, we can think scores and hundreds of workers in construction, manufacturing, in the media, and so on, in enterprises large, medium, and small, where jobs were being lost in the 5 years before the pandemic. Before COVID-19, comrades, tens of thousands of workers in this country had, and they still have, outstanding collective agreements to be settled in both the public and private sectors for periods averaging 6 years, and as long as 10 years in some cases, because we have a series of outstanding collective agreements. You wouldn't believe where. At Cipriani College of Labor and Cooperative Armed Studies since 2010. This means that as we speak, tens of thousands of workers are living on 2013 wages, with the consequent impact of inflation over the years and decline in the living standards of their families. Before COVID-19, tens of thousands of workers and their families, and I include those in the informal sector, the precariat, the people who live on a day-to-day basis, would have been living on minimum wage of less than $3,000 a month. This in a country where it was estimated by the then Ministry of Social Development in 2014 that it required $1,230 a month or thereabouts for one adult to meet the basic requirements needed for a balanced diet and some basic non-food necessities. Do the math. You do the arithmetic. And some of us live it. And understand the current day reality in 2020 on a household of 2 adults and poor people who have 2 children and 2 children. Or think about a single parent or a single parent household often led by a female in this country, with many mouths to feed, to clothe, yes, I'm sorry, forgive me. Yeah. These technical things escape me. Yeah. So I was saying that think of a single parent Thank you so much for the help. Forgive me, comrades. I am amongst you differently able, but I am quite capable of doing what it is I have to do in the interest of the working people of Trinidad and Tobago. So I was saying that contemplate upon a single parent household, often led by a female, with many mouths to feed, to clothe, to educate, with rent and utilities to meet, and so on. Think about that. And what does that create for such a family? Shared poverty. Before COVID-19, comrades, the percentage of our population living in poverty was quoted at above 16% in a 2018 study on child poverty commissioned by the United Nations Development Program, the UNDP, and the United Nations International Children's Emergency Fund, UNICEF. And in another study around the same time, it was estimated at about 20% of our population. Comrades, we are speaking about between 220,000 and 280,000 people in Trinidad and Tobago in our population of 1.4 million, living in a state of poverty. All this deprivation and sufferation has been taking place before March 2020. And what has been happening on the other side of the coin, because this is class struggle. The biggest business enterprises in Trinidad and Tobago, the 1%, they have continued to make hundreds of millions of dollars over the years. And for some of them, it has been in the billions. Time does not permit me to say much more on this subject, but I want to remind that the joint trade union movement has repeatedly condemned the root cause of this pestilence, this pandemic of economic and social inequality, as being the end result of neoliberal policies pursued by successive governments in this country. A path that emphasizes austerity and catch-ass for the many while filling the coffers and bank accounts of big business. And unless this path of religious adherence to neoliberal policies is reversed, the economic and social inequality that is now increasing day by day for ever expanding sections of the population will only worsen. Today, on the 83rd anniversary of the trade union movement in Trinidad and Tobago, Begu says we must reignite the spirit of 1937 that guided the people's struggle against inequality, discrimination, and the injustices that pervaded the society at that time. We must heighten the struggle for labor's voice to be not just heard, but felt in the corridors of power. And for this, for it to be felt, we have to complement dialogue. Trade unionists are always willing to speak. We prefer to judge than to war. But if war comes, we have to be prepared to deal with it. And I am saying that as we complement social dialogue in seeking to deal with the crisis that this country is faced with, we have to defend our class interests. And to do so, it is going to require that we take what I would describe as strategic people's protest action. And they must also hear our feet. Because if we do not do that, then the balance of forces across the negotiating table, which is already imbalanced and balanced in favor of the ruling class, it will only become more difficult for the trade union movement and working people in Trinidad and Tobago. So that in our aim to abandon neoliberalism and achieve social justice and put an end to the pervasive inequality that is so evident in our society, I say here this morning, and Banking, Insurance and General Workers Union says, let the spirit of 1937 be invoked. Forward ever, backward never, solidarity forever. I thank you. I'm a little shaky.
Okay. Let's switch on this one. So, we welcome now President General of the Contractor and General Workers Union, Comrade Joseph Phillip, and he will be followed by the General Secretary of Communication Workers Union, Comrade Clyde Elder. Comrade Phillip.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. President General of the Joint Trade Union Movement, brothers and sisters, the media. If News is here, let me solidarity News forever, because your union will make you strong. I understand your pain and what you're going through. Brothers and sisters, although we are few in numbers here, but I know, and we know very well, there's hearts out for us today. But you see, this epidemic that's going around, COVID-19, it has to open our eyes. Because what we have seen happening here now is that epidemic bring all kind of leave. No pay leave, that leave, all kind of, every more leave than the tree you're seeing. But brothers and sisters, let's take 1 minute of thought and think about what happened in Trinidad and Tobago with the working class. We have two sections. We have the public and we have the private. And these people, they're showing the heartlessness towards the working class. And let me give you a story of them to us. Contractor and General Workers Trade Union. That's the reason I saw about the heartlessness. We, this union, have the RMU for certain workers in massy stores. We negotiate, and let me tell you the deceitfulness about them. We are process of negotiating now. They give us a certain percentage that they feel that we should take, we get a certain percentage. So we stall now because we can't keep no meeting when this COVID going on. You know what they're doing? We just discovered a letter was going down, inviting the members, inviting the workers, you know, bargaining unit and say, hey, all your contractors paying the full, you know, it's them who step in, they may want to meet, you know. So therefore you have this enchantment, you have this kind of, you know, things could happen. But we can't meet as we were like. So we have to watch that very carefully. Because people is on the breadline, retrenchment is going black, white, and center. And you know something? We have our own nasty, stinking, outdated 1985 retrenchment bill. And we have people from sitting on the Ministry of Labour who from the bottom of the union and nothing just doing about it. And don't talk about the one they call receivership. That dog is as back when the fields are back. It means that they have food. But brothers and sisters, we are in this together. If we're swimming together, we can't get drunk. We are singing separate at all. And I want, as I'm here, let me talk about where I'm from, Lubry, and we have a company named Lake Asphalt. Madam Chair, if I'm going too much, hit my lash, eh? We have a company named Lake Asphalt. We talk to the people that have the powers. Say, listen, now, all you're running along this space, you know, like all they want to do something with them, because in doing that there could be retrenchment. We wrote to the Prime Minister, this union. He said, hey, not me, Energy. We wrote to Energy. Nothing doing. I personally saw the Prime Minister and tell him about it. Nothing doing. But you see, brothers and sisters, I was very fortunate. See, let me say this, I was very fortunate to be in the company of the President of J-Town in Port of Spain, in a rally, when I saw a man with a blue pants and a nice jersey walk up the step on the podium and talk about, hey, Olio, I could do the job, you know. I told him the job of the Prime Minister, yeah? I could do the job, Olio. Give me the job, you know. And we give him a here, we give him a say. Today that man is the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. But you know what? Like you want to fire OWT on them. So brothers and sisters, we are saying here this morning, enough is enough. We have to combine whatever we have, whatever we see, whatever they're doing. We must take cognizance of that fact that we have the detergent for that kind of soul that they have for us. So brothers and sisters, may I say this, God bless me, and may we go forward. No surrender! No retreat! I'm going backwards. No retreat! No retreat! No retreat! May God bless us all.
Comrades, good morning! Only we have to make it song and look like it have thousands of people here. Good morning! Yes, that sounds better. On behalf of the Communication Workers Union, my executive and my membership, I greet you and wish you all happy Labor Day. And today, as comrades said before, COVID-19, as bad as it is, because it is bad, is being used as a ruse, an excuse to abuse working class people today. Let me tell you what I'm talking about. The Kiss Baking Company. I want to say we have no recognition for the workers there. None. But 2 days ago, despite the regulations to not congregate in more than 10 workers came to my office to complain about something that was done to them. So you will be familiar with people selling bread on every corner before the COVID. Every corner you will see a Quailo's depot kind of thing. They're selling bread. Those people who were selling those bread were in fact nothing less than modern day slaves. Let me tell you why I say that. They came to my office looking for help because just as COVID-19 pandemic hit, they got letters letting them know that they are no longer required because of COVID-19 and because of the financial objective not being met. That's what they were told. But here is sting in the tail. The people who are selling the bread, they are given a letter saying that your employer is the driver of the truck. The driver of the truck is given a contract with KISS saying you have a contract to provide a service for me, you are not my employee. What is worse, KISS making up all of the payments. KISS making up NIS payment too for the driver of the truck on behalf of quote unquote his employees. But here the nonsense. The people who selling the bread employed for 5, some of them 6 years. And the employer employed for 4 months. So they came to the union asking, what can you do for me? When we looked at the documents, nowhere in the document says Kiss Baking Company. But all of them Kiss Baking Company. You know what the company has been doing? The company has been systematically circumventing the provisions of all the laws of Trinidad and Tobago. Every single one. Underpaying the workers, and in most cases, not even paying the NIS for the workers. And that's how the mark bust, you know. Because when the government say, apply for the salary relief grant through NIS, and they went, it's only then they found out that NIS wasn't being paid for me. So bad as COVID is, and it is bad, it exposed the injustice that was being done to what was nothing less than modern day slavery by Kiss Baking Company to these people. And it is now upon all of us, because we all here are leaders of respective unions, to protect the working class, because the employer class not sleeping, you know. They are up turning night into day and day into night to see how they could get round unions, how they could get round the law. And they have protection from the government. So who protected we? Who protected we? Today I call on the sleeping Minister of Labour to get up from your slumber. You're on pandemic leave for too long. It is time that you come out from pandemic leave and do something in the interest of the workers of this country. I call on the Prime Minister. If you have ministers who are on pandemic leave for too long, get rid of them and bring somebody who's working. And maybe you too on pandemic leave, I don't know. But I call on the workers of this country to get up, to wake up, and to begin the fight back against the injustice that's been done to all of us. It's time to fight back. And you can't just depend on Roger and Elda and the Beak and a few of us to fight the fight. You have to join us in the fight too. I call on TSTT and I call on Hilton to improve and introduce pension plan for workers, because when you see workers get old and they can no longer work, they depend on a deferred income to live. And TSTT pension plan, Telco pension plan, and Hilton pay attention to deferred earnings for members. Comrades, this is as unique and a special Labor Day. Only in the fact that we can't have people out to march with us. That's the only uniqueness and differentness about it. But everything else, comrades, every other principle that has governed Labor Day from the first day to now remains the same. That the working class must ensure that we take our rightful place in society. Let those who labor hold the reins of power. Long live the trade union movement. Long live the communication workers union. Long live the working class. Forward ever, backward never. Forward ever, backward never. Dare to struggle and dare to win. Thank you, comrades.
Thank you, Comrade Elder. And I want to invite President of Estate Police Association, Mr. Derek Richardson, and the General Secretary of Fire Services Association to make their way towards the podium. And in the meantime, we want to thank JTUM. We want to thank JTUM for allowing us as women the opportunity to serve and to demonstrate our worth. And I would want at this time to recognize my sister from CWU, Comrade Joan Oji, Vice President. Welcome, sister. Comrade Richardson.
Bring your greetings on behalf of the Estate Police Association. Comrades, the Estate Police Association stands solidly on a platform of truth and justice. We are fed up of the knee that has been placed on the necks of estate police and security officers in this country for far too long. Comrades, in 2020, we have a situation where we have a bill that is before the Parliament, which seeks to take away the precepts and the terms and conditions of estate police officers and put them in a private security bill which was constructed by the 1%. That is as easy as I can put it. So the terms and conditions that was hammered out over decades will be taken away and put under an authority which they will now control. Comrades, they have gone so far as to amend the Supplemental Police Act, which governs estate police in this country, to now remove the privilege and the protection of Section 14, which gave us the rights, the privileges, the powers of a police officer below the rank of corporal. They have taken that away, and an amendment they have proposed to go before the Parliament. They are taking away what they are trying to take away, the power and the authority. So we no longer, according to them, will be able to effect an arrest according to the Act. No longer would we have that protection under law. That is what is proposed. I'm not saying that is what is before the Parliament of Trinidad and Tobago. So here we are today, begging for a hearing, but we stop. And we are asking our people to stand up now. No longer. The 8 minutes and 46 seconds it took to kill Floyd in the state. There are 80,000 of us. And we must stand up and say no to this oppression. There are companies that are taking $20 a month to send for a salary to go to a bank. And yet, they are having state contracts. And they're having prisoners running up and down this country. And I'm thinking themselves as the paragons. But today, we are saying that those persons, that the hammer of Thor must not be upon the heads of estate police. We must swat them away. We must not allow them to amalgamate and ally to treat estate police and security officers in this country in the manner in which they have over the years. We will not stand for it, and we are standing here today as a testament to our commitment to the estate police and security officers in this country for a better day, and a better day coming now, not tomorrow. Now is the day for us to stand together and move forward. Forward ever, backward never.
And as we continue, we want to be mindful of the time. Comrade Simon.
Good morning, comrades. Yeah, all the time. Well, I believe I have good physical distancing. Come on, chair, so I can take off my mask. All right. I too came with a speech today, but given the time constraints and the long list of speakers to come, I will keep it in my back pocket. Right? I take this, I'm honored with the opportunity on behalf of fire officers of the Trinidad and Tobago Fire Service to bring Labor Day greetings to all workers of Trinidad and Tobago. Further, I take the opportunity on no other day but this day to further confirm the commitment of the Fire Service Association to the joint trade union movement as we take the struggle for working conditions. Now, the Fire Service Association has acknowledged and recognized the burden that workers have to carry in this pandemic time. We recognize that burden. The workers have been carrying the brunt of the burden. and the new normal that it presents. Even our usual Labor Day celebrations would have had to take an abridgment. So they allow, thank God for the powers that be, they allow the joint union, trade union executive members to take up this challenge for the workers. To take the workers, take the battle for this part of the relay and carry the workers. I would like to applaud the fire officers, in particular as they are who I represent today, for their continued effort in upholding the safety of all workers and persons of Trinidad and Tobago in this COVID time, despite doing so with inadequate working conditions, despite doing so with inadequate personal protective equipment, yet still they kept on keeping on without complaint. Again, I'd like to applaud fire officers who have been working on remuneration from 2014, 2 collective periods outstanding, 6 years and counting, but yet still officers holding the faith, and they keep on keeping on. Last but not least, my dear comrades, please allow me a little more time on this one.
2 seconds.
2 seconds I get from Madam Chair. 2 seconds more. I would like to ask the powers that be to pay special attention to the Public Service Commission. That institution has lost its mandate. In fact, they have become a bugbear, a serious impediment to the fire service on their objective to ensure safety of this nation. The government has been doing a good job in respect to the spread of the COVID virus in Trinidad. So, in keeping with Comrade PJ, Mr. Roger, don't bring problems without solutions. But I have a solution, I have a recommendation. I ask that the legislator, president of this country, to employ the chief medical officer to get guidelines on how to sanitize that commission. They need continuous and permanent sanitization. But last but not least, as we continue, again, Fire Service Association, under the leadership of the Joint Trade Union Movement, will continue to keep on keeping on. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Comrade. And we want to invite the political leader of the Movement for Social Justice, Comrade David Abdullah, and recognize the deputy political leader, Ms. Radhika Galbans, and the candidate for Faizabad. Comrade Abdullah, we will have SWUTT, President Timothy Bailey, President Shiraz Khan of the Farmers Union, and then General Secretary David Forbes of Postal Workers Union. Comrade Abdullah.
Thank you very much, Comrade De Freitas, chair of this morning's rally. A very good morning to all the comrades here, the leaders of the Joint Trade Union Movement. A very good morning to you. A very happy Labor Day to all of the working people of Trinidad and Tobago. Special good morning to my deputy political leader, Comrade Radhika Galbans. Comrades, I was remarking to some comrades as we came from the cemetery to Abacat that in the 43 or 44 years of my coming to Faizabad on June 19th, that we have had a number of different formats. We started at different places. We took the march into the cemetery once, then we stopped that and we just had the leaders going to the cemetery. We had rallies in different places and we changed the format. But this is the very first time that, of course, we have not had thousands and thousands of workers joining in this rally. But today, we have a representative demonstration. And the fact that all the leaders are here pledging their commitment to the ideals and objectives of the June 19th, 1937 revolution is itself very, very powerful. And on behalf of the Movement for Social Justice, I want to extend solidarity to all of the trade unions in Trinidad and Tobago, to the labor movement, to all workers, unemployed, self-employed, our farmers and fisher folk, all of those who are laboring and who produce the wealth of Trinidad and Tobago. And I want to congratulate the J2M to insist that Labor Day 2020 takes place, albeit in a different way, but with the same shape of activities that it has always done. So congratulations to J2M for keeping this activity alive. Comrade Chair, 1937 was a revolution. There's no doubt about it. And today, one of the things that we have to learn, the lessons that we have to learn, is that the workers of 1937 recognized that they had to organize as workers in their unions as labor, and they had to also organize themselves politically. And today, we need another revolution of the mind. We need a revolution in mind, Comrade Chairman, because all of the grievances that I have heard on this platform this morning, quite honestly, I've been hearing for 40 years. Because you see, the system has not changed. And those who are in charge of the system, the traditional political elites and parties, do not want to change the system because they benefit from it. And of course, they're financed and supported by those who control the economic system. And who suffers? The workers. And let me say that the last time that the nurses and healthcare workers were in the forefront, there were two previous occasions of major struggle by healthcare workers, and I want to extend solidarity to all the healthcare workers. Not only are they in the front line in the struggle against COVID, but they're in the front line today in the battle against an uncaring employer. And the last two times that happened, 1981, a prime minister died in office and a government changed. And 1990 was another such occasion when the nurses were in struggle. And I'm simply saying that today we need a revolution of the mind so that we could organize politically, so that the laws, policies that are necessary to defend workers and all other ordinary citizens of this country can be implemented. 2020, we have that opportunity. Let us have a revolution of the mind and complete the revolution of June 19th, 1937. Thank you very much. Forward ever, backward never.
Thank you, Comrade Abdullah. Rising, Comrade Sasha Alfonso David, Acting General Secretary of BEGU. Where's Comrade David? And Comrade Leah Payne Figueroa, Trustee of the Fire Service. Comrade Bailey.
Thank you, Comrade Sister. Good morning, Faizabad. Good morning, trade unionists. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. On behalf of Steelworkers Union, I bring greetings on this this important day. This memorial, this day that we celebrate, symbolizing what labor is all about. Comrades, this morning, we have heard a lot of speakers. We have heard a lot of speakers touch on various topics. And the sister spoke about what is the topic for this Labor Day. I'm going to twist it a little bit. Comrades, during this COVID-19 period, for the first time in a long time, we have seen that unanimously it has been acknowledged that workers are essential. Comrades, the trade union movement has always known that workers have been essential. But comrades, when we look deeper, the reality is that workers are only essential when it's convenient to these blood-sucking leeches. Comrades,
Today, I want us to look at a few points. Comrades, we live in a country that was built on industry. And comrades, today, this country is being deindustrialized. Comrades, the reality is that we have a government in power that does not see the importance of the industry to this country. Historically, this country has been built on industry. And comrades, I am saying that it is essential going forward, and I'm using the word essential because that's the word I'm going to be using for my speech this morning, that the industry be revitalized, starting with the steel industry in Trinidad and Tobago. Starting with our brothers and sisters at OWTU taking over the oil industry in Trinidad and Tobago, comrades. Comrades, as we stand here today, we need to understand that labor is only in a safe place when labor is in charge, when labor can make decisions for the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, comrades. Comrades, the reality is, and I know that many of us will come after and say what I'm going to say, this government has failed us. We have a Minister of Labor who is non-essential. She cannot point out to one thing that she has done in the last 5 years to improve the lives of workers in this country, comrades. Comrades, we have an Attorney General. I was shocked with the passion in which he presented the cannabis bill to this country. But comrades, the reality is, in 2016, which was 4 years ago, when they closed the steel plant in Trinidad and Tobago and workers went home without a single red cent, everybody stood up and said that legislation must be changed. And to date, that same Attorney General who was so passionate about this cannabis bill has not done the necessary to bring legislative change in this country so that no other worker will be faced with the fate that the steel workers of Trinidad and Tobago faced in 2016. I know that the cannabis industry is very, 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 very lucrative. I know in Europe they are expecting cannabis from Trinidad and Tobago. Yes, I know. But we need to put people in government, in the place of governance, who would represent the interests of labor, comrades. Comrades, I'm saying, the trade union movement, more now than ever, being led from in front by JTAM, is essential to the recovery of this country. And we must set, and we must lead, and we must take this country from this position it is in right now. Comrades, our election is around the corner. We don't need 5 years. I'm not calling on no government at this stage to do nothing. They had 4 years plus to do something. We need to make change now, comrades. The trade union movement of Trinidad and Tobago needs to put aside our differences, come together as one, and lead from the front. Because without that, the workers in Trinidad and Tobago are doomed, comrades. They are doomed. Comrades, I know there are other people to come, but when we leave here today, let us all change our thinking, as Comrade Abdullah said. Let us all understand the purpose we have, set by our forefathers, set by Renzi, set by Butler. And this work isn't done, it must continue, comrades. So, comrades, as we celebrate the existence of trade unions in Trinidad and Tobago, I say to you, let's come together. Forever, backward never. Forever, backward never. Comrades, thank you.
Forge and fire, Comrade Khan, followed by Comrade Forbes.
Comrades, pleasant morning. Morning, PG. Morning, Comrade Abdullah. Morning, all the leaders. Comrades, today, Labor Day, happy Labor Day to you all. I approach this mic today with a bitter and a sweet moment. The bitter moment is that this might be, and I hope it will be, my last appearance as the president of the Farmers Union here, because I'm embarking on an independent candidacy in the Shagwanas East election, because I think the UNC and the PNM need to get a kick in there. I want to be stupid as the Prime Minister. And it is a sad day in saying that I'm going to do that, because when I'm successful on the day that they call the election, I'll then be an MP. I will be in the march and so on, but you would not be able to come here. So I hope that with all their blessings, continue to pray for me and call the family in that area and let them support me. Because we need to do things like that, the MSJ, and I am an independent. But comrades, we had a Prime Minister holding up a pak choy and telling people he grow that. That man is a damn blasted liar. Is the gardener worker will grow that for he, and he holding up and boasting that he grow that. What has that man do for agriculture? He boasting that he's a member of the sheep and goat society. That man could lie. He don't need to lie like that. He has not done, he and his government. The last time some genetic material came into this country to assist the farmers was 2013. Don't mind the thief, and they corruptly bring the damn sheep and goat inside of the country. But he boasting about sheep and goat, and he and his friends alone could import because them had tax exemption. Right? They are farming, and it is not an even playing field for the ordinary farmers like myself who have to dip in their pocket, and they are writing off taxes when the tax is supposed to come for the poor damn people in this country. Right? So how could them call themselves farmers when they don't have to dip in their pocket to buy that? You're visiting all the farming places that it have. What happened to the 4.5 damn years all gone by? Why come now you want to visit farms? What happened to all the years of support in the farming community? You have a minister Rambert like a pommy one inside of there. You visiting farm, so what happened to him doing it all these years? And you in the cabinet giving Mr. Rambert the opportunity to develop the farming sector. People, the problem that we had 30 years ago continue, and hence the reason why I changed my attitude from fighting outside to go inside and start the fight. Because we have taken the licks, and agriculture industry has been treated as the bastard child of the society. Right? This COVID didn't teach them no lesson by it. This COVID, everybody planting, and congratulations to some of my comrades, they buy manure and started their little kitchen garden. A number of people, because of COVID, have started their kitchen garden. But people in the government, and I don't think the government who trying to get there will ever do anything about agriculture. And each and every one of you eat. Look at how healthy and strong all looking. It is not other organization looking like that. What are them women and things now, man? Healthy and strong. You eat breakfast, you eat lunch. You have to eat 3 times a day. You have to eat. Agriculture is important for us. So when would Rowley and Kamala know that? Let us get them out of there, and let us start to build this country based on struggle and sacrifice and good intention. Good intention to take this country forward, not carry it backwards to get a 1% friend, pocket full. Right? Pocket full. Because imagine, if all these farmers producing tomatoes, and let me tell you something. All you seen tomatoes selling $6 and $7 pounds for $20. You know what causing that? It's not the farmers producing too much, you know. People where houses are full with imported tomatoes. What they brought for the school feeding program and all the restaurants that was not sold. or you don't buy that pink thing. The tomatoes looking pink, or you don't buy that, or you put in one leg up and all you buy them imported thing. All you buy from all the farmers in all the community. Buy from them, because those imported things are spread. They like the apple pack up on a shelf for 6 months and can't rotten. It's because it is sprayed. Comrades, brothers and sisters, the agriculture sector really continue to fight and struggle. And with your prayers and the help of this movement, hopefully that inshallah, when that date is called, I could get in to try and make some changes. Comrades, long live the working class. And if ever I'm not here in 2012, 2021, please, my heart will be here and I will be out there. I will continue with the support. Let this trade union movement continue to do the right thing. And I hope and pray, inshallah, that at each and every one of you that speak here today and the ones who come in after really get what they want, because we need to continue to fight. Long live the working class. Long live the working movement. Long live J2M. And thank you for your support. Thank you, comrades.
Thank you, Comrade Khan. We have David Forbes of Postal Workers, and we will look to wrap up with Comrade from Registered Nurses Association, Comrade Edie Stewart, following.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning to the working class people of Trinidad and Tobago, my brothers and sisters in the labor movement, the Leadership Council of JTUM, and the President General, of course, of the Joint Trade Union Movement. I am David Forbes, the General Secretary of the Trinidad and Tobago Postal Workers Union. I bring Labor Day greetings on behalf of the TTPW and all the hard-working essential workers in the postal sector. Comrades, I know those of you who are here today and all of you who are tuned in at home to this year's event will remember this year as the year when all workers became essential. The COVID-19 catastrophe has given rise to renewed and dynamic challenges for us in the trade union movement. It is not only a global health crisis, it is a major labor market and economic crisis that is having a high impact on the people and the working class. In that regard, comrades, the role of the TTPW and the other labor unions have now become so much more important. And as you all should know, this pandemic and other pandemics can occur again. Comrades all, we know traditionally trade unions struggled for the good of the worker. In 1937, unions fought for better conditions of work, and this time is not much different. The pandemic has revealed the inequality that exists in the employment practices, not only locally, but globally. This was revealed in jobs that were not considered and those that are now considered low, such as our brothers and sisters in the sanitary environment. The pandemic has brought to the fore the importance of many jobs that were considered non-essential or not important. Comrades, at TT Post, the government recognized postal workers as essential because they recognize the needed geographical reach and knowledge to deliver their needed information throughout the country. In contrast, since the inception of TT Post, the union had to constantly call on the management to convince them of the importance of postal workers' jobs. The role of the TTPW and the other labor unions have now become more important as ever should another pandemic occur. Labor is now required to ensure that workers are provided with decent work, and that is with enhanced health and health insurance and living wage, to name a few. These critical issues must now form part of our wage negotiations. In this regard, comrades, I want to make a public call here today on behalf of my brothers and sisters who are temporary workers at TT Post. Seeing that they were deemed essential workers recently, they must be appointed permanently today into jobs that they are in as it relates to vacancies. we are calling for all those temporary workers and TT posts to be appointed permanently. Industrial relations practices via the human resources at TT posts has certainly hit rock bottom. The powers that be at the corporation do not care about the public's purse because the decisions they are making identifies what I am about to say. Comrades, how could it be that the union sat and agreed to terms and conditions of employment on behalf of workers and it has been unilaterally changed? This type of behavior led the union to file IROs and trade disputes. Some revealed a wastage in the sum of 1 million alone in 2020. That is not even inclusive of attorney fees. Total waste. When the union looked at the total cost spent by TT Post, it showed an amount of money that could have been used to develop TT Post or pay workers money they have already worked for. But the Bible says it is a sin to withhold workers' wages. Another major issue that TT Postal Workers Union is currently treated with is the recruitment process. How could it be, comrades, that the General Manager of Human Resources, Ms. Joanne Rodriguez, was not aware that interviews were being conducted for a particular position and people interviewing their significant other? Who is really the head of the division? Who is really the head? What I am highlighting here is not all, you know. It's plenty more than that, as we just say in local parlance. We beg the former Minister Lee Hunt to look into what is happening at TT Post in particular, as the workers express their disappointment and dissatisfaction with the General Manager of Human Resources. The General Manager of Human Resources has failed the workers and is still pushing matters down the road in the Ministry of Labour and the Industrial Court. It is time to fix this issue now, man. We have no money. We have no money. But the board and minister allowing this type of IR practices. Additionally, comrades, the union had to fend off the General Manager of Human Resources when she and the little mice, yeah, we just call him the little mice, was attacking the president and other executive officers of our union. We cannot forget the operations manager in those attacks. The point, comrades, is that instead of trying to operationalize TT Post in an efficient manner, the General Manager of Human Resources and the operations manager is attacking workers and the union. We already declared to the managing director that the lady herself, that the union and the workers has lost confidence in her. In fact, we want to see the appraisals of the General Manager of Human Resources and the operations manager. The workers know they have failed, and it is in that regard, Madam General Manager of Human Resources, you and your pals made a big mistake by attacking us and the workers. The practices which you are hiding from that warranted a recent investigation suggest that you should resign now. Comrades, TT Post is a state-run entity and best practices has to be of importance to the people of Trinidad and Tobago. What we are experiencing at TT Post is far from that. Workers deserve more now because of the belt we were asked to tighten. The management foot is on our necks. Where is Minister Fritzy? Where is he? We want to say to him today that we don't deserve that. Where are you, Mr. Fritzy, the new Minister of Public Utilities? The workers need your help. They want to continue to serve the people of Trinidad and Tobago in a peaceful environment. We want the General Manager and Operations Manager to resign now. They're wasting time. Let us get people who are serious about moving TT Post forward. Corrupt practices cannot be condoned. Time to deal with that. In closing, comrades, the workers has asked the union to express their in public here the commitment to serve the people of Trinidad and Tobago and to express that they care about TT Post. However, their will is not to surrender to the mountain of unwarranted issues. However, I say today, comrades, as I close, we believe in labor. We shall stand by labor. We will move with labor. We shall not be moved. We shall not be moved. We shall not be moved. I thank you.
Comrade Edie Stewart.
Good day, comrades, one and all. On behalf of Trinidad and Tobago Registered Nurses Associations, we bring greetings to you. Our main issue, our number one issue that is affecting nurses and midwives throughout Trinidad and Tobago is the issue of the lack of respect, the lack of consultation, the lack of understanding that you need to meet with the persons, the stakeholders within the profession before you make decisions. And that is something that is mirrored in a number of our colleagues who have gone before me have stated, is the lack of consultation. It cannot be throughout this entire COVID pandemic, the Minister of Health has not met with the largest nursing body. Nursing and midwives make up 50% of all healthcare workers. And for the entire COVID period, the Minister of Health has not communicated with us. If he had communicated with us, we would have been able to better advise him. This whole restrictions that has forced the postponement of our annual Labor Day march, and we have to conduct the symbolic march today, is not needed. Since our last case in Trinidad and Tobago in terms of localized spread was 2 months ago. Anyone who understands the disease process, anyone who understands microbiology, anyone who understands viral illness would understand there's no way you could have COVID still present amongst us. The only thing we need to continue doing is managing immigration, managing the inflows of people from countries that do have COVID. So for 2 months since our last reported local case, we are undergoing these strenuous and unnecessary restrictions. For instance, and the minister conveniently speaks about countries that is doing worse than us. So they'll speak about America, speak about Venezuela, speak about Brazil, but they'll never speak about the countries that have already reduced COVID to zero and what they are doing. So let me give you a quick example. Anguilla had their last reported case on April 26th. Last reported case. The first case was late March, and the case recovered by April 26th. By April 29th, 3 days later, they removed all restrictions, every single restrictions, except the immigrations of persons. So when the minister comes on TV on the Saturday or Monday, please ask him what is the reason, the rationale. For 2 months later, 8 weeks later, we still have all these restrictions. But if he had only considered and spoken to the Nurses Association, if he had considered and spoken to the Nurses Association, we would have better advised him the need to put all these tents outside billion-dollar health facilities that we built with taxpayers' money. It realized that we cannot accommodate viral illnesses, communicable diseases in our billion-dollar healthcare facilities. So we build all these billion-dollar facilities. We have 10 hospitals in Trinidad and Tobago, but we still need to put tents outside every single healthcare facility, costing millions of dollars. We have to utilize a company, which we will bring to the public domain shortly, to sanitize employees. No other country in the world is doing that, spraying down nurses after they come out of the hazardous environment. If he had only considered us, he would have realized that you cannot build permanent structures, permanent 1.2 hospitals, billion-dollar hospitals in Point Fortin, in Arima, in Granby, in Roxborough, while you have temporary employees in these facilities. If he had only considered us, he would not have allowed, he would have preempted the massive demonstration that is going to take place on July the 1st,
where we get every single nursing and midwifery personnel on the streets of Port of Spain, from Queen's Park, Savannah, to the Ministry of Health. So with these few short words, we want to remind all nurses and midwives to come out in your numbers as you have been doing over these past weeks as we chart the way forward. We will no longer take disrespect from government officials who we put there to do our bidding. But when they get there, they do their own bidding. So thank you. Long live the trade union movement, long live Joint Trade Union Movement, long live TTRNA as we march towards Labor Day 2020. Thank you.
Thank you, comrades. I don't know what you know about it. As we close, I bring you greetings, comrades, on behalf of Tutor. What to say? What to say? The same things that other unions want for their members, we want for teachers. Social justice, equity, tenure of employment, healthy working conditions, retirement benefits paid on time, end to contract work for ECCE teachers, COSAD lecturers to know they have job security. Take us out of fallen schools. Take us out of schools where the sewer system acts up every Monday morning. Take us out of schools where we don't have fire certificates. Oh gosh, I said that. Fire services didn't hear that, right? Take us out of schools which are overcrowded. Going forward, colleagues, let us remember that as tutor, we talk not only about our members, we talk about the children. And we are fearful that in the next few months, certain inequities that we have taken for granted within our system will be exacerbated. We are fearful that in the next few months, you will see a widening divide between the haves and the have-nots. Those who survived COVID and those who couldn't. And so as teachers, as educators, we say to you, unity is what we need. Solidarity. Don't look to ride on the back of another union and bring a union down. Be grateful. My colleagues across there. Yes. Long live JTM. Long live the trade union movement. Thank you. Colleagues, we urge, of course, we will practice social distancing as we prepare for our walk to Charlie King Junction. Other persons, please ensure social distancing. Comrade, thank you. Comrade President General.
Thank you very much, Sister Antonia De Freitas. Let us give a round of applause for our chairman for this historic Labor Day 2020. Okay, comrades, you want to move swiftly.
Yes, it is time for us to stop saying, not me and politics, and get involved in what is taking place in Trinidad and Tobago. No longer must we be satisfied to sit in our gallery or stay at home and say that we're going to do it and depend on a political party or depend on the two present political parties that the media has been pushing on us year after year after year. Every election, we put people in the corridors of power and expect them to see about us. But they never do. And we all know that. They never do. Yes, the PNM and the UNC, they have both betrayed us. Whether you want to hear it or not, this is the position. Some of you may not like what we say, but we rest our cause on the power of truth. and Tobago. They have betrayed the workers in Trinidad and Tobago, the people who produce the wealth of this country. And the time has come for us to put a stop to it. We remain at the crossroads. Yeah, we are at the crossroads. Trinidad and Tobago is at the crossroads. And we have no choice but to influence the direction in which Trinidad and Tobago must go. We have no choice. If we care about our young ones, if we care about the generations to come,
Me?
we have to lay
You want to get
proper foundation.
This lady ain't going ahead. Bye-bye.
Today, without a doubt, our elders,
Six in the house,
have contributed the best part of their lives to the development of Trinidad and Tobago. Today, they cannot walk the streets of this nation. They cannot walk the streets of this country as free men and women who have toiled already because they are afraid. Yes, they are afraid of the criminal elements that Trinidad and Tobago is under. Yes, crime is out of control in Trinidad and Tobago. We're facing that. Medical institutions under pressure, the workers under pressure, nurses on the streets, yeah, nurses on the road, and we must give them the type of support that they need. These are the ones whom we face, whom we meet every day. We meet our nurses. We must give them the type of respect that they deserve. They need our support in this time. When we fight on behalf of the nurses, we are fighting on behalf of ourselves. The lady is exploited, and we are saying this morning, maybe we would not have gotten a job franchise when we got it. Today, Labor Day 2020, we must thank God that we have fearless labor leaders in this country. Two twins, two of the same kind. They are financed by the same people. The same people who finance the UNC are the same people who finance PNM. But we will fight against each other as poor people on behalf of these parties and them. We probably put on a red jersey or a yellow jersey. We say time to come out of that mindset. We are literate and we are intelligent people. Stop belittling your intelligence to support a yellow jersey or a red jersey. You want to destroy each other on behalf of these organizations. And the media constantly tells you that your choice is only the PNM or the UNC. When the labor movement is backing a candidate in Faizabad, the labor movement is backing Radhika Golbans from the Movement for Social Justice as your next parliamentarian in Faizabad. Time to start the thing, and no better place to start it than in Faizabad. 2020, June 19th, Labor Day. It's about time they begin to teach the history of the labor movement and send them into oblivion. They must get away. We must get away from these people. Time to free ourselves from the grip of the UNC and the PNM. Time to free ourselves from these bastards, these hypocrites who continue to pretend that they care about Trinidad and Tobago. They don't care one shit about us. They do not care, the PNM and the UNC. And notice, they bombarding us on the radio and television, in the print and electronic media. Yes, vote for either one of them. But voting for either one of them, we're voting for the same people who finance them, because they have the same financiers. Yeah, remember what we're telling you. Drop PNM and UNC in Faizabad this election coming in and support the candidate backed by the labor movement, Radhika Golbans. She's riding on an MSG ticket. Yeah, time for us to start to fight on our own behalf. That bio-altruistic nature about them. Let us put them in the corridors of power. President Bailey. 1 year. This is 1 year where we can speak, safely speak to a sober audience, an audience gifted with intelligence. Yes, with the action was always start. We're going to Butler's Hall of the Revolution. That's where we're going. Because we know that Trinidad and Tobago, this nation, the people in this country, poor people, working class people, we need a revolution of the mind. Yes, a revolution of the mind. Time to clean Trinidad. Time to start seeing Trinidad and Tobago as a dirty room that needs cleaning. And if we do not clean it, it will only get more dirty. So we have no choice but to clean it. The PNM and the UNC will only make it nastier. Yes, they will only make it more dirty. Yeah, we will become fed up of the fearless leaders of the Trinidad and Tobago Registered Nurses Association. Yeah, you know, today the majority of our nurses in this country are females. But we do not hear one woman organization coming out in support of these workers, these female nurses and them. Not one. It is left up to the rest of the Joint Trade Union movement to render support to these people. Some of us residents, PNM is in power, so if you are a PNMite, you're going to oppose your sister or your brother who is a teacher or a nurse. You're going to do that on behalf of the PNM because PNM in power. If it was UNC in power, you would fight the Oilfields Workers Trade Union. You would fight your madam. You would fight your brother. You would fight your uncle. You would fight. We have to stop this nonsense. We have to stop fighting against each other. We have to realize that we have a common problem. And when we have common problems, as the elders used to always tell us, we unite on the basis of what we have in common. Yeah, and what we have foremost in common is that enemy, the elites in this society, the financiers of the PNM and the UNC, these people who are willing to fight each other for. Yeah, we're crying on their behalf, we're stooping to them. Yeah, but they don't care. They don't care. How long, residents of Faizabad, how long you're going to continue to put people in the corridors of power who do not care about us? They do not care about pensioners, people who have given the best part of their lives to the development of this nation. They do not care about the future. What did the Labour Minister say about the steel workers? Where is the Labour Minister today? Party politics has destroyed her. Yes, party politics, she has told us that we begin to fight on our own behalf. It's time for us to fight for ourselves. Time for us to put people in the corridors of power. Yeah, people who are not hypocrites. People who have the best intentions for the nation. People who have been working with us. People whom we know. Yeah, present day. This morning, because of the COVID-19 pandemic, we are forced to curtail our walk. Yeah, the size of our demonstration has been severely curtailed. But we are led by fearless people. Yeah, and we are having a peaceful walk this morning to Butler's Hall of the Revolution, Charlie King's Junction. Every election, we put people in the corridors of power. And as we walk the streets of Faizabad today, let us remember because they're not teaching it in schools anymore. They're not teaching one thing. They're not teaching the history of the labor movement in the schools anymore. Neither UNC nor PNM. None of them. They're not going to teach evil. Why we got adult franchise, the only reason why we got the right to vote in Trinidad and Tobago is because of the action of fearless labor leaders who are willing to confront the colonial masters. Not like the type of leaders that are calling for us to prostrate ourselves, in front of Uncle Sam. Whatever America says, we're supposed to follow. Thank God that we did not have those type of leaders leading the trade union movement in 1957. Yes, for those of you who do not understand, when the UNC could come out and say that they support Juan Guaido as the president of Venezuela, or that they should have a problem if we trade with Venezuela, it's because they are cowards. It's because they will allow people to invade their homes. We are saying that just like the human body that has an immune system, we in Trinidad and Tobago must allow our immune system to kick in and defend our country whenever an intruder comes. But we must have fearless leaders who led the labor movement in 1957 and coming down the years to 2020. Fearless leaders who are willing to say that we are sovereign. People who are willing to stand up and defend their homes. Men who are willing to stand up and defend their homes against any intrusion. Anything that is not in our interest, anything that is not in the best interest of Trinidad and Tobago, we must take a stand against it. But we must be fearless. And today, God has blessed the labor movement of Trinidad and Tobago that we have fearless leaders who are going to confront foreign multinationals and let them know that Trinidad and Tobago must get their fair share of our resources. Yes, Trinidadians and Tobagonians, this is the voice of labor. Yes, this is the voice of the Joint Trade Union movement. And gathered with us this morning, the Oilfields Workers Trade Union, the Trinidad and Tobago Unified Teachers Association, the Banking, Insurance and General Workers Union, the Amalgamated Workers Union is with us this morning, the Contractors and General Workers Trade Union. Remember the sanitation workers, essential workers. If sanitation workers were to shut down for 1 week, then you would see the importance of sanitation workers. But they're not giving them.
Recognize and commemorate this great and important day. Let us welcome the President of TUSA and totally focused and their General Secretary. Let's give them a round of applause. Let us also welcome General Secretary of People Transport and Education Officer Jean-Paul Batelli. Let us recognize the President of the Association of Maxi Taxi, Ian Hewitt, and the Assistant General Secretary, Edward Archibald. Let us recognize and welcome President General of the All Trinidad General Workers Union, Corporal and its General Secretary, Rajendra Mohan. Let us also recognize and welcome the General Secretary of the Amalgamated Workers Union, Comrade Cassandra Toby. Let us recognize and welcome the President of Contractor and General Workers Union, Comrade Joseph Phillips, and their General Secretary, Comrade Norman Dini. Let us recognize and welcome the A short break, just very short. Make sure you get some water. And let us make sure we maintain our social distancing. Great, smooth Labor Day 2020. But as I thank the police, I want to thank our members who have shown true discipline. Because when we were meeting with the police, he said, don't worry about the discipline of the trade union movement. And we have proven ourselves today. Thank you, comrades, for maintaining the discipline to ensure that we have a smooth, incident-free Labor Day. So I'm going to take a short break. And you can't breathe. Because we have quite a rally in store for you this afternoon. We wanted to make sure that Labor Day 2020 don't pass without that very important Labor Day feature address. That important address that assesses the current state of our country. Comrades, don't move. We also have a little surprise. We don't have any Labor Day, we always have a little something for the comrades. So comrades, stay tuned. Stay tuned. We will be back very shortly in just a few minutes. We have only one agenda item on this charity junction. And chairing this afternoon's historic rally is a person who has created history in the trade union movement. A name will definitely go down in the pages of the history of the trade union movement and the history of Trinidad and Tobago. I am talking about the very first president of the Trinidad and Tobago Unified. My comrades are giving me the necessary correction. And I see she gets it back up from second vice president, another female trade unionist herself. So, chairing this afternoon rally in exactly 33 minutes and a half will be none other than the first female president of the Trinidad and Tobago Unified Teachers Association. Let us give the word Anguilla a big round of applause. And in true woman power style, this morning we recognize all of the women leaders in the trade union movement this morning. Let us on Untitled Chapter recognize the involvement and the continued contribution of our powerful women trade unionists. So in about 22 minutes and a half, we will begin our very important rally. We don't miss a beat. We don't miss a beat at all. At 1 p.m. sharp, our final activity for Labor Day 2020 will begin. Comrades are okay? Comrades are okay? Again, let us remind Trinidad and Tobago that it was only the leaders who would walk this morning. Those leaders would have taken the symbolic march this morning, representing the membership of the various trade unions that make up the joint trade union movement. I just want to, I see in the midst, we don't have a crowd, but I saw a green t-shirt, and I think it's only my duty and responsibility to recognize in the house here with us the transport industry and workers union. Let us give the comrades a round of applause for being here. Alright, comrades, it will now be in the next 31 minutes and a half. We shall commence our Labor Day 2020 rally with a feature address by the President of JICA. Thank you, comrades.
this morning. We had, of course, the third VP was here. I saw it. I'm now going to introduce the chairman of this historic Labor Day 2020 rally, the chair. The chair told me she would like to be called the chair. None other than the very first female president of the Trinidad and Tobago Unified Teachers Association. Those of us who are here complying with physical distancing, still join me in welcoming to this Charlie King Junction Labor Day stage none other than Sister Comrade Antonia De Freitas.
You sign down there. Comrades, welcome to this segment of our Labor Day Activity 2020. Historic activity indeed. And I want now to present you with a surprise. We have, for those of us viewing and listening on social media, we have a short video to share that demonstrates or highlights the walk, the journey from OWT to patriotic. Those of us present in the junction here, we will be listening, we will receive the audio. So I hand over now to that video.
UT remains a patriot, a bedrock institution of Trinidad and Tobago, forged from the fires of liberty and social justice for all, it burned brightly against colonialism, exploitation, and all forms of socio-economic inequality. This organization of patriots earned its stripes in blood, sweat, and tears, infused the spirit of the 1937 movement, a spirit that remains alive and ever relevant, transforming the lives of all citizens for the better. The patriots have cracked the code of immortality, who have perpetuated singularity in their ideology through a pantheon of stellar leaders who only differed in name and face. Nevertheless, they have all remained consistent and true in their actions and dedication, passing up the baton of responsibility which punctuated the greater part of 9 decades. Patriot Tubo Uriah Buzz Butler, in 1937. A soldier, worker, political and labor activist, he established the modern trade union movement in Trinidad and Tobago. A time of gross exploitation and discrimination against our nation's working class sons and daughters, Patriot Butler emerged as a courageous, tireless icon of hope, who led by saving the cause of the people. By consolidating their plight, Patriot Butler stirred a movement that became a prime mover of change. A force that would be later dubbed the Oilfields Workers Trade Union, the OWTU. Patriot Butler's activism is also evident in the fight for universal adult suffrage, which allowed all adults, regardless of wealth, race, or language, the right to vote in national elections, a right that we sometimes take for granted as the gentle breeze of the comfort in life of past struggles becomes displaced with time. Patriot Adrian Kohler Rienzi, 1937 to 1943. Born Christian Diomrai, a lawyer, labor activist, and politician, invigorated with a drive toward dispelling oppression and injustice, Diomrai took on the name of a European warrior of the people and became Patriot Adrian Kohler Rienzi. Patriot Rienzi was part of the growing labor movement in the 1930s, and like Butler, believed that more first President General of the Oilfields Workers Trade Union. As both the OWT and the Oil Trinidad show critical industries in Trinidad and Tobago. For the first time, the majority of people in this country was able to make their voices heard and peacefully push for improvements in their standard of living. Through his work across the trade, Patriot realism was instrumental. John F.F. Rojas, 1943 to 1962. Patriot Rojas presided over the negotiations and settlement of the OWT's first collective agreement. He introduced the cost of living allowance, COLA, to collective agreements so that workers would be protected from the impact of inflation between negotiations. This innovation had set the stage for what would emerge as a staple of the middle class. As trade unions grew and consolidated over time, Patriot Rojas saw the OWT become the powerful voice of all workers, regardless of their employer. Patriot George Remiss, 1962 to 1987. Patriot Weeks took up the mantle of responsibility and developed alliances across the trade union movement to build the power of the working class and raise the political consciousness of the people. From those alliances came the United Labour Front, which became the major opposition party at the time. The OWT was at the heart of the Black Oil movement, which dismantled racist power structures left over from the colonial era. The patriotic developments of this decade had a significant influence in the drive to Trinidad and Tobago attaining a republican status. The OWT fought for the nationalization of major energy assets so that ordinary people would benefit from these industries instead of foreign shareholders. Under Patriot Weeks' leadership, the OWT's philosophy of people and not multinationals should own the commanding heights of the economy matured and bore fruit, evidenced by the formation of Trinidad in 1974, Trinidad in 1985. Patriot Oil Cable Club, 1987 to 2008. Patriot
further blazed the trail set out by his predecessor and was able to witness 1993. At this national integrated oil company, Patriot McLeod's exemplary leadership transcended 2 decades. He not agreements, while important, are not
to the Occupational Health and Safety Act of 2000 today. Patriot Ansel George Roger, 2008 to present. Patriot Roger's succession to leadership coincided with what some would only refer to as a quasi-boom, underpinned by economic distress. This period was followed by an accelerated decline in oil prices, further amplifying the stress levels within an already weakened economy. Patriot Roger's policy was to jealously protect the citizens of the country by buffering the working class benefits in spite of the political and economic uncertainty, by holding government to account for its fiscal management. Patriot Roger's tenacity and prowess culminated in the first ever innovation towards indigenous labor self-determination, an innovation that emerged against the backdrop of the greatest fallout in employee sustainability. Because of his stellar leadership and anthropological understanding of the working class, the nation's jewel is being moved from the crown of the state and handed over to the people via an industry disruptor, an enterprise brainchild of the OWT, now incorporated as Patriotic Energies and Technologies Company Limited. Patriot Roger's resolve reflected a logical progression of what was ingrained in the OWT's institutional DNA, forged over the greater part of 90 years. Echoing the sentiments of past patriots and holding true to the clarion call, providing hope, security, social justice, and prosperity for all, a call that can be summed up in one word: patriot. Success is our business.
service, patriotism, love of country, welfare of workers, rights to vote, right to freedom of association, although I'll ask us to remember social distancing now. But this is what we have to remember on this historic Labor Day 2020. I am privileged now, comrades, to introduce to you a gentleman, a new comrade, who's famous for his independence, his consistency, and his staunch defense of workers' rights. A powerful working class leader, a man of integrity, a strong freedom fighter. He is a founding member and the current President General of JTUM, the Joint Trade Union Movement, and he has been President General of OWTU, the Oilfield Workers Trinidad Union, since 2008. Comrades, join me in welcoming to deliver the feature address for Labor Day 2020, Comrade George Roger.
Thank you very much. And thank you very much to all of our supporters, all of our well-wishers who cannot be here with us this afternoon, but who are tuning in. And let me thank all the comrades who are standing here with us this afternoon, and also thank the police for their protection and stewardship as we safely walk through the streets of Faizabad today, recognizing this important and significant day in the history of the calendar of not just the trade union movement, but in the history of the calendar of Trinidad and Tobago itself. Chairperson of this year's Labor Day rally, our dear friend Montgomery, the first ever female president of the Trinidad and Tobago Unified Teachers Association tutor, our sister, Comrade Antonia De Focus, my comrades, leaders of the Joint Trade Union Movement, here at this historic Charlie King Junction, on the occasion of the 83rd anniversary of modern trade union movement in Trinidad and Tobago, members of the media, members of the protective services, sisters and brothers, well-wishers, our listening and viewing audiences on social and traditional media, both home and abroad, and in particular, the many thousands of our members and supporters who cannot be here with us this afternoon, but who are at home viewing this historic Labor Day address. Friends and comrades, good afternoon. Well, on behalf of all workers today, let me start, as I do every year, by paying tribute and homage posthumously to the chief servant and the true father of the trade union movement of Trinidad and Tobago, none other than Tuba Uriah Buzz Butler. Let me also pay homage posthumously to the other founding fathers and progressive leaders like Adrian Cololienzi, E.R. Biggs, John F. Ross, Quintin O'Connor, Lennox Pierre, George Weeks, Joe Young, C.L.R. James, and Lyle Townsend, among so many others. These are the giants upon whose shoulders we proudly and firmly stand today. And yes, we cannot forget our great women who have also made significant contributions, such as Elma Francois, Daisy Creek, Plato Walcott, and Thelma Williams, just to name a few of them. In addition, we must also recognize the thousands of faceless and nameless workers, the unsung heroes, the martyrs and patriotic citizens of the past,
all of whom are responsible for all the gains and achievements that we as a people enjoy today. Today, for that priceless legacy, for their contribution to struggle, we must continue to recognize them. But comrades, this afternoon, to say that we have to recognize Labor Day with a difference because of the reality of the current pandemic, the unprecedented spread of COVID-19, the unprecedented spread of this virus across the world, to say that it is different has to be the biggest understatement of the decade. This deadly virus has infected over 8.5 million persons in 213 countries and has claimed the lives of over 450,000 persons. And now we are seeing a resurgence in some countries. As a result of this unprecedented pandemic, and to ensure that there is no possibility of a resurgence of this deadly virus in our country, today we at JTUN have taken the decision, because we are taking absolutely no chances, and this is why, even though it pains us, for you, the many thousands of our comrades and supporters, to be absent this afternoon, we believe it is absolutely necessary. But in this regard, let me immediately seize the opportunity to commend the government for keeping the COVID-19 numbers down and ensuring that there is no major outbreak in our country. First world countries like United Kingdom, Italy, Germany, and other European countries, and not to mention the superpower United States of America, still have absolutely no control over the coronavirus. Whilst the virus wreaked havoc to these so-called first world countries, back here in Trinidad and Tobago, we have to commend those who took decisive actions to close our country's borders and successfully manage the health response. And for that, this afternoon, we want to commend them. But even as we commend them for the medical response, the economic and social response was totally inadequate. Today, thousands of our people remain without any relief whatsoever. The relief the government announced just did not reach the ground, where the majority of the people are suffering and where it matters most. Today, we call on the government to ensure that this desperately needed relief reaches the table of all of the most affected families. But notwithstanding the restrictions for COVID-19, we at JTUN still felt strong enough to send a clear and powerful message that the country must never forget the significance of Labor Day, the significance of disjunction, the significance of struggle, and even in this current situation. You see, for us in JTUN, Labor Day is not only about pay increases or workers' benefits. As important as those things are, and indeed those things are important, the significance of this day is far deeper than that. We must never forget all the struggles of the past. We must always remember that in those days, it was ordinary people like us who struggled relentlessly for a better quality of life, not only for themselves, but theirs was a struggle for a better quality of life for all of the people and for future generations. It is because of those struggles and achievements that today we, the labor movement, have secured a priceless legacy. It is this legacy, comrades, that has always given us the moral authority to critically analyze the state of our country and to fearlessly commend or condemn
as we see fit. You see, as a serious labor movement, this is the type of independence we must vigorously guard until the very bitter end. Regardless of the consequences, regardless of who is in government, and regardless of who say what. But this evening, I want to say to those armchair critics, commentators, editorial writers, especially The Guardian, who earlier this week wanted to tell me what to say on Labor Day, and those petty self-declared experts like Roger Hussein and others, they produce nothing. They have absolutely no experience in leading any people's organization, or even worse yet, no appreciation whatsoever for the struggle of the masses. But yet, they sit in the comfort zones of their homes, with the convenience of their computers, and spew a set of misinformation which is totally disconnected from the reality. On the other hand, we have the editors, those editors who hide behind the anonymous cover of editorial privilege to spew the opinion of their 1% masses. But you see, this movement, this JTM labor movement, which I have the pride, honor, and privilege to lead, we have no respect or regard for any of them, because they simply genuflect and prostrate before their local masses on the altar of self-hate. Like the sycophants of both parties, both PNM and UNC, they are used as convenient pawns for the politicians and the 1%. As I have always maintained, I don't want anybody to like me. I have a family to do that. I have a job to do, and I will do it fair and fearlessly. We are prepared to vigorously defend every single position we take this afternoon, and even advance new ones as we point you to the facts and assist you in making proper and clear decisions. Why? Because ours is a position simply rooted in the truth. Commerce this year, it is without a doubt that for many persons, one of the key lessons learned from the COVID-19 virus is the importance of workers. They now learn that. Because many people finally realize that workers are critical to the functioning of the economy and the society as a whole. In this regard, on this historic occasion, JTM commends all the frontline workers who kept this country going, even as the majority of us stayed at home. This afternoon, we wish to proudly recognize all of them, all of our members and comrades, namely our nurses, the TNTech workers and the emergency crews, TFTT and other telecommunication workers, technicians, plant operators, and other workers at PowerGen, MP, and other energy-based workers. The sanitation workers, maxi-taxi drivers, postal workers, security officers, fire officers, prison officers, media workers, finance sector workers, and the farmers. We must also recognize those workers who belong to different trade unions and also those who are ununionized. The doctors, pharmacists, and the medical professionals, the master workers, gas station attendants, bus and maxi-taxi drivers, cleaners, police officers, soldiers, fisher folks, supermarket and grocery workers, market vendors, delivery drivers, and many other workers who valiantly and selflessly played their part. As committed citizens, you risk your lives while the rest of us stayed safely indoors. It was not the big business owners, not the managers, not the shareholders, not the politicians, UNCOPNM, and certainly not the elites or the 1%. It was you who risked your life just to ensure that our country win the battle against this deadly virus. And for that, this afternoon, we want to publicly thank you. Your service in this public health crisis was immeasurable. And for that, this afternoon, G-Tom says thank you. However, we must not just stop at thanking you or applauding you. Even more than that, today we raise our voices once again and call on all of Trinidad and Tobago who benefited from the services of these workers to join with us as we call on the government to ensure that all of them are properly protected and properly compensated. Whether COVID-19 or not, comrades, our consistent argument has always been that workers are the ones who turn the wheels of the economy, and therefore all workers should be treated essentially. And now, post-COVID-19, they want us to accept without question the full exploitation of workers, where it will be no respect for collective agreement, no respect for collective bargaining, wanton disregard for terms and conditions of employment, working on unhealthy and unsafe conditions. They now disguise this as the new normal. This is their version of the new normal. Well, for us, the new normal has to be respect for workers, respect for collective agreements, respect for terms and conditions of employment, and respect for the rights, dignity, and status of all workers. That has to be the new normal. It is for this reason that our theme for this year's Labor Day is none other than all workers are essential. Treat all workers essentially. But comrades, this year, the Joint Trade Union Movement would like to recognize the 50th anniversary of the Black Power Uprising of 1970. That movement, comrades, a truly popular and broad-based social movement, sought to end racism in all aspects of our society. So deep was that racism that it created a fortified barrier to social and economic progress for the majority of the people in our country. In 1970, the OWTU and other progressive trade unions were proud to be deeply involved with the Black Power movement in our country. As a matter of fact, let me share with you this afternoon that so strong was our involvement that the OWTU's third President General, Comrade George Weeks, and other progressive trade unionists were arrested and jailed. 50 years ago, on this day, they could not celebrate Labor Day because they were imprisoned on Nelson Island. But make no mistake about it, comrades. That Black Power uprising changed Trinidad and Tobago forever. It was a change where no longer it was accepted that the color of our skin or our race should determine the limit of our opportunities. It was a change where the masses must not be denied economic and social progress on the basis of our race or the color of our skin. Today, 50 years later, we honor all the martyrs and all the comrades who relentlessly carried that struggle. On the other hand, we also took careful note of those who conveniently took up the mantra of Black Power with no intention of disrupting their intellectual bourgeoisie politics or their economic comfort zone. Their support for this critical issue only emanates from the comfort of their armchair. What is even worse, comrades, is that over the years, we have also faced a series of politicians who deceitfully chanted black power and power to the people while seeking personal power and riches only for themselves. In government, these politicians made absolutely no real effort to place power in the hands of you, the people, or to restructure the economy to the benefit of black people. In other words, comrades, throughout the years, they made absolutely no real effort to improve the quality of your life. And now they're coming back to fool you for yet another occasion to get your votes. But today, it is also important to remember that the Europeans saw the first people as savages. They saw the Africans as subhumans, and they saw the Indians as primitive and backwards. All these lies were told just to justify genocide, enslavement, and torture. These lies were told to justify the theft of our ancestors' labor. The violence of the Spanish and the British empires had one specific aim, comrades, which was the extraction of value. The creation of an underclass in these islands was designed for the extraction of value. You see, it is labor that creates value. Let me say that again. It is labor that creates value. So how can you extract value without the consent of labor? Well, it can only be done through violence, oppression, and with a deep-seated racial disregard where black people are seen as less than human. That was the grave injustice handed down from our colonial masters, which the Black Power movement sought to end. This is why we supported the Black Power uprising in 1970. And this is why today we fully support the Black Lives Matter movement in the United States in their epic struggle against systemic racial injustice and inequality, the likes of which is still occurring in our country today. Today, it must be made clear that it is not only the elites, but it is all of us who live here. We all have an equal claim to the wealth of this land. Today, we are also warning all our comrades in struggle to fearlessly stand strong against any attempt to divide us on the basis of race, gender, religion, or geographic origin. Because in solidarity, comrades, we are definitely stronger. Let me also take this opportunity to inform all this afternoon that this date, this sacred date, June 19th, also has a huge significance for black people in the United States of America. You see, June 19th, 1865 was the date for the complete abolition of slavery in the United States. But comrades, as we stand here today, at this historic junction, our own country is in deep crisis. To deny this hard, cold fact will only perpetuate a type of hypocrisy that will further plunge us as a people into deeper crisis. And this will only benefit the politicians, the elites, and those who consistently seek to divide us. Turning our attention now to the current state of our country's economy. As we look at the current state of our country's economy, it is a fact that many thousands of our citizens are struggling daily just to make ends meet, with some actually not knowing where the next meal is coming from. Such is the level of desperation that exists. Today, it is also a fact that as many thousands of citizens lose their jobs with no hope of immediately regaining employment, millions of citizens are joining that ever-increasing line of unemployment. This situation was occurring even before the arrival of COVID-19. They would want you to believe that it's COVID-19 that caused that. But this afternoon I'm here to reinforce that this situation was occurring long before the arrival of COVID-19. If anything at all, COVID-19 pandemic only exposed the structural weakness of our economy and the economic crisis which had already gained momentum in our country. For example, before the outbreak last year, we protested the immoral and unfair negotiations that resulted in BP receiving a massive gas pricing increase, which only benefited BP at the expense of thousands of jobs, thousands of local jobs. It is clear, comrades, that BP took advantage of those who represented our country in those negotiations. But because at the end of the day, BP's fortunes increased exponentially at the expense of Trinidad and Tobago. We must always remember that the gas that BP is charging us more for, we must always remember that that gas does not belong to BP. It is our patrimony. It belongs to the people of Trinidad and Tobago. We cannot deny the fact that over the last 4 years and 9 months, our country lost the steel industry with the closure of ArcelorMittal. It is clear, comrades, that we had a weakening of the manufacturing sector with the closure of the Unilever plant, Trinidad Aggregate Products, and the reduction in the productive capacity at the Trinidad Cement Limited. We are now losing the petrochemical industry with the closure of plants at the Port Lisas Industrial Estates. And for the first time in 100 years, with the closure of Petrochem, our country can no longer produce petroleum products for local consumption and export. In other words, comrades, this is a complete rollback of the industrial capacity of our country. This has resulted in the loss of precious foreign exchange and the loss of jobs to so many thousands of our citizens. Clearly, even before COVID-19, the economy was grinding to a screeching halt. Instead of diversification, there was no growth in any sector, and even worse, with the major contraction and reduction in the heart of the economy, the energy sector itself. Instead of job creation, we had the complete opposite, where thousands of our workers are being sent home. And instead of social justice, there exists rapidly increasing levels of inequality and inequity throughout the society. This has resulted in the total decimation of our country's middle class, creating a massive disproportionate gap between the haves and the have-not. The government had two clear roads to choose from in response to the country's economic situation. On the one hand, it was one of IMF austerity measures, and on the other hand, it was Labour's economic alternative plan developed and presented by J-Tom. You see, unlike the negative stereotype by our detractors and critics, J-Tom actually produced an alternative to the austerity measures. Remember the mantra that the country has no money and that we must sacrifice? Remember that? But somehow, money was found to issue multi-million-dollar contracts to their friends. Whilst we were told that the country had no money, the banks and big businesses were still declaring hundreds of millions of dollars in profits. As the government ignored Labour's economic alternative plan and even their own economic advisory board, what we witnessed was the return of Calco, and to balance the books, the Minister of Finance simply raised the price of fuel, not once, not twice, but 3 times. And he did it without a consideration for its impact on poor and ordinary people. He also increased the tax burden on the population. No, don't forget that. And now, with the taxation of lotto and play, he has found another way to even tax you in your dreams while you are sleeping. It is clear, comrades, that it is only the ordinary people who are saddled with this heavy yoke of economic adjustment. Now this same Minister of Finance, who said in his midterm budget review last week that Trinidad and Tobago has weathered the storm and it is good and it is in a good financial position and in a good place. So this afternoon, on this historic junction, let us all ask the question, on which planet is this Minister of Finance broadcasting from? Clearly, it is not Trinidad and Tobago and planet Earth, where the pain and suffering of ordinary people have become a way of life. He is the only person in a good place. Comrades, he is clearly in La La Land, and he wants to take all of us there with him. The painful reality on the ground is that many of our people have been crying out as their own situation rapidly deteriorates. They have to face the vagaries of high and ever-increasing prices with little or no hope to put food on the table for them and their families. While the Minister of Finance would say otherwise, evidently for him, the pain and suffering of the people does not matter. Turning our attention now to the issue of labor. With the retrenchment of so many thousands of our country's workers, there has been absolute silence coming from the Minister of Labour. There have also been no supporting protection mechanism coming from the Ministry of Labour. It's a fact. In fact, as the numbers of matters significantly increase, there was a corresponding decrease in the ministry's capacity to assist in the resolution of matters that came before it. This had a huge and crippling effect on the ability of trade unions to have their matters resolved in a timely manner before the ministry. Clearly, the Ministry of Labour has become a mere conduit where matters are simply funneled through to the industrial court without resolution. This situation only facilitates employers who demonstrate total disregard for provisions contained in collective agreements and who shows no respect for the Ministry of Labour itself. As JTUB, we requested that the Minister of Labour give priority to 2 specific pieces of legislation to give protection to workers. With all the massive retrenchment occurring, we requested that urgent attention be made to making amendment to the Retrenchment and Severance Benefits Act, and also amendments to its accompanying legislation, the Companies Act. We also requested that the process of recognition be simplified to make it easier for workers to join a trade union of their choice. While many workers are crying out daily for trade union representation, the current onerous process of gaining recognized majority union status only facilitates the employers who use every legal loophole to deny their workers and who victimize their workers for even attempting to exercise their constitutional right to join a trade union of their choice. The minister did absolutely nothing to bring justice to this most unjust situation. In her purported attempt to overhaul the Industrial Relations Act, the Minister of Labour will have only busied herself with numerous consultation on various pieces of labour legislation. This did nothing to create a balance in the interests of the disadvantaged workers. It is a fact that this Minister of Consultation brought not one piece of labour legislation before our nation's parliament. That's a fact. On the other hand, trade unions were amazed to see how various pieces of legislation were conveniently given priority, but the workers' interests was never at the forefront of this government's agenda. It's a fact. The record speaks for itself. Because it is a fact that after 4 years and 9 months, there is absolutely not one piece of amendments or any new labour legislation. The only thing that this Minister of Labour would have brought before the country was the grand announcement of pandemic leave. Once the minister came riding on a big white horse one Sunday afternoon to make that grand pandemic leave announcement, workers are yet to receive this relief measure arising out of the stay-at-home order. But further, guess where the many thousands of pandemic leave grievances are heading? Guess where? Well, those matters are heading straight to the same inefficient Ministry of Labour, where we can neither find the minister nor a big white horse. As a consequence, all those matters will be heading to the already burdened and under-resourced industrial court. While so many of our country's workers have to work in an unsafe and unhealthy work environment, there have been absolutely no amendments coming from the Minister of Labour to strengthen the Occupational Safety and Health Act and its agency. And what about the stated commitment to review contract labour? What about her stated commitment to do just that? Today, the unfortunate reality is that in her own ministry, many workers still have to face the insecurity of short-term contracts. This afternoon, we also want to report that the Minister of Labour provided no assistance with the resolution of long outstanding wage and salary negotiations, despite our many complaints to her in that regard. Comrades, I want to also tell you and remind those who knew before that we even wrote to the Minister of Finance by letter dated November 18th last year, highlighting the critical issue of outstanding public sector wage negotiations and other negotiations, that these collective agreements were approaching not one, not two, but the third period of collective bargaining with no settlement in sight. I informed him in that letter, and I quote, "Any debt that the government incurs will inevitably be carried on the backs and shoulders of these same workers, It is therefore grossly unfair and unjust for the government not to settle their negotiations while they form a significant part of our country's workforce who turn the wheels of the country's economy. End of quote. Subsequently, JTA wrote again on 2 occasions concerning these outstanding negotiations. And again, no response from the disrespectful Minister of Finance. These negotiations include the following. Listen carefully. Amalgamated Workers Union with the Port of Spain City Corporation with 2 periods of collective bargaining. Banking General Workers Union with the following negotiations. Central Bank of Trinidad and Tobago, Deposit Insurance Corporation, Export-Import Bank of Trinidad and Tobago, First Citizen Bank, Kariri and Kadi, Cipriani College of Labor and Cooperative Studies, where outstanding wage and salary negotiations go back since 2007. Environmental Management Authority and Export TT, all of them with 2 and 3 periods of collective bargaining, again with the Cipriani College of Labor outstanding since when? 2007. Contractor and General Workers Union, Lake Asphalt, hourly weekly junior staff and senior staff, San Fernando City Corporation. These are outstanding from 2014 to 2019, and there is even their outstanding job evaluation exercise, which was never completed since the inception of that agreement with the union. Communication Workers Union, TSTT, 2 periods of collective bargaining from 2014 to 2019. And at Trinidad Hilton and Conference Center 2016 to 2019. The EPA, Port Authority, NIPDEC, with National Carnival Commission, the negotiation with UNI, WASA, TNTEC, Airport Authority, Chagaramas Development Authority, National Petroleum, MTS, all of these are outstanding, with some of them carrying 2 and 3 periods of collective bargaining as far back as 2014. Fire Service Association, with the Trinidad and Tobago Fire Services, with 3 periods dating as far back to 2014 to present. Industrial General Sanitation Workers Union with SWIMCO, with 3 periods of collective bargaining dating back to 2014 to present. The Alphys Workers Trade Union with TNTEC, University of the West Indies, UTT, National Petroleum MP, PowerGen, National Trading Agency, again, all of them with 2 and 3 periods of collective bargaining with NTA going back as far as 2011. Prison Officers Association with the Trinidad and Tobago Prison Service for 2 periods from 2014 to 2019. Trinidad and Tobago Postal Workers Union with TT Post, all 3 bargaining units outstanding from 2014 to 2017. Trinidad and Tobago Unified Teachers Association tutor, 2 periods of collective bargaining dating as far back as the year 2014. All Trinidad General Workers Union, outstanding negotiations with Moore Valley for 2015, from 2015 to present. Sugar Feed Center from 2016 to present. Now, comrades, it cannot be that these long overdue negotiations remain outstanding and there is absolutely no response coming from the government as to how they intend to settle them. This has to be the height of disrespect for our country's workforce. This afternoon, we call on the Minister of Finance for his own good and for the good of his government to take front take one and to immediately begin discussions with the various trade unions on the long outstanding negotiations. A debt is a debt and it must be repaid. Yes. In addition, comrades, it would be remiss of me not to report on the current poor state of industrial relations in our country. For the country to achieve any form of economic progress, there must be industrial peace and stability, where workers' issues are given their deserving respect and priority. Neither them nor the respective board of directors or even the line ministers are held accountable for the poor state of the industrial relations in our country. So, we continue on a daily basis to be challenged with misfits who are politically placed at the level of the board and at the level of the management of these state enterprises, and who cause mischief by their wanton violation of collective agreements and terms and conditions of employment. And it is only certain high-paid attorneys who benefit when they cause this mischief. All of these complaints were made repeatedly to the Ministry of Labour and to the Minister of Labour, who sees powerless. And therefore, the unfortunate reality was that there was never any improvement in our country's industrial relations climate. In fact, it continues to deteriorate on a daily basis. What is even worse is that today, these thousands of critical issues are far from any resolution. But unfortunately, now, you imagine, it is unfortunate, but really, you imagine that as a former trade union leader of a major trade union in this country, who openly criticized the former Minister of Labour for his lack of performance, you would imagine that her first order of business as Minister of Labour would have been to secure an industrial relations climate that can facilitate the highest level of productivity. But with the failure of the National Tripartite Advisory Council and her failure, our country is now in deep industrial relations crisis. Comrades, we also cannot leave this issue of labor here this afternoon without addressing the issue of the industrial court. The government has consistently underfunded the industrial court, thereby causing a systemic deconstruction of the court. Currently, there is an abundance of trade dispute, negotiations, industrial relations offenses, and other IR matters that are either at the court or very soon will be before the court. And now, post-COVID, even more matters will be heading to the same industrial court. In spite of this, the court is woefully under-resourced and therefore will be constrained to handle all of these matters. Imagine, as we speak this afternoon, comrades, there exist some 20 vacancies out of 22 positions of auditing reporters. There is major shortage of secretaries, clerks, and other general staff. Shamefully, comrades, it is also a fact that the government has not even provided basic necessary equipment like photocopiers, fax machines, computers, etc. It is a fact that the industrial court is seriously cramped for space. This is the type of lack of attention that is being paid to our industrial court. The industrial court is a court of higher record at the same level of the High Court. Yet, whilst the technology was provided for the High Court to function during the pandemic restriction, nothing was provided for the industrial court. It is clear, comrades, that the government had absolutely no regard or respect for this institution, the industrial court. Why? Because it is only employers, the elites and their 1% friends who hire high-paid attorneys and who benefit from the delays at the court brought about by the under-resourcing of the court. Come on, remember, when I had identified right here on this historic junction, a group of elites, the 1% that was surreptitiously planning the most brazen attack on the industrial court. Remember that? Don't forget, you know. These are the same elites who consider themselves to be the most powerful in our country. Remember that? The government's lack of support for the industrial court, as I said, is only to the benefit of these same elites, whose sole intention is the ultimate destruction of the industrial court. So instead of strengthening it to provide justice, the lack of priority and the under-resourcing by the government is contributing to the decimation of the industrial court. That's a fact. Today, we call on the Attorney General, the man who found it necessary and who found a way to bring emergency legislation quickly to the Parliament. Yes, legislation that would see all of us now having an opportunity to get access to cannabis. That is his priority, while at the same time, no attention is being paid to the industrial court. You see, the point is, if they wanted to do it, they could have done it. But clearly the facts that we have before us is that they have absolutely no intention to satisfy the interests of the Indian people in this country. Today we call on the Attorney General to ensure that the court is fully and properly resourced to enable it to respond justice in a timely manner. And now I turn my attention to crime and criminal activity in our country. As a responsible trade union movement, we see our responsibility going far beyond the boundaries of industrial relations and the winning of benefits for our members. Ours is a responsibility that stretches far beyond those boundaries into communities throughout Trinidad and Tobago. And therefore, we cannot leave this platform this afternoon without dealing with the runaway crime situation that affects all our citizens. It is a well-established universal truth that the main priority for any government is for the safety and security of all its citizens. This is a fact. And it is also a fact that with the unprecedented crime situation in our country, no citizen is spared the effects of crime. You would have thought that the first priority of this government would be to reconstruct a fortified national security apparatus to protect all of us. But clearly, this was not so. So, in spite of their criticism of the porous borders left by the previous government, absolutely nothing was done to prevent the continued influx of sophisticated guns, ammunition, and drugs into our country. This highly sophisticated but illegal trade remains unabated because of the powerful forces that are involved. So, whilst these guns find their way into the streets and into the hands of black youths, they are not the ones who ultimately benefit from this lucrative illegal trade. Whilst this is a reality, there's absolutely no national discussion on how these guns, ammunition, and drugs enter our country in the first place. As if this is not bad enough, there's also the issue of increased illegal immigrants coming to our shores from close by, neighboring Venezuela. Among those immigrants are hardened criminals and Venezuelan gang members who have now found it easy to continue their illegal activity of, guess what, drugs, arms, and even prostitution in our country. On a daily basis, we continue to witness the ghastly murders which have become a main feature on social media. It is a painful fact that the government has not been able to control the runaway murders in our country. The figure speaks for themselves, comrades. The murder rate continues to increase on an annual basis. For instance, according to TNT crime statistics, in 2016, there was 463 murders. In 2017, it was 494. In 2018, it was 516, and in 2019, it was 538, totaling 2,011 persons. 2,011 human beings being murdered in our country. This is the highest number of murders in any 4-year period in our country's history. The numbers don't lie, comrades. The government's failure to treat with this single most critical issue has led to law-abiding citizens now being imprisoned in their homes. We are prisoners in our homes with both electricity and high-tech security cameras and other devices. Whilst this occurs, the criminals and murderers roam the country freely and kill in broad daylight with impunity. They operate with total disregard for witnesses and with absolutely no respect or fear for even the police. Today, people are literally living in gripping fear and heightened anxiety of being the next murder victim in their own homes and elsewhere. But I want to tell you this afternoon, it does not matter which political party you support. It does not matter how much you love your party, whether that party is UNC or PNM. Any one of us can either be a target or an innocent bystander. Unfortunately, comrades, the sad and painful reality is that our society has now become numb to these gruesome murders, where the blood of our citizens continue to flow in the streets of our country on a daily basis. As I have always maintained, the only reason that you and I are alive today is because nobody really wants you dead as yet. This runaway crime situation is only to the benefit of a certain group who receives yearly contracts to to transport these young black men to and from our nation's court on a daily basis in a collapsed criminal justice system. It must be clear that at the end of the day, comrades, the ultimate responsibility of solving crime is for the government and for them to ensure for the safety and security of all our citizens in our land. So instead of public relations gimmickry, we call on the government to convene a national discussion with all the stakeholders on the root cause of crime and criminal activities in our society. Further, we also call for the government to commit resources to treat with all aspects of crime, from the socio-economic conditions, to the protection of our borders, to the eradication of white-collar crime, dealing with crime at all levels, to the resourcing of the police service, and certainly dealing with crime, including crime by powerful persons in our country. And now, comrades, at this moment, Charlie King Junction, on this Labor Day, 2020, let us now focus on the issue of the former petroleum company of Trinidad and Tobago. We have always said that one of the greatest crimes committed against the people by this government has to be the closure of the petroleum company of Trinidad and Tobago, Petrotrin. I want to say up front that it was not only the employees or persons throughout the southern district of our country, but it was citizens in other parts of Trinidad and Tobago who were also affected by the company's closure. It is our position, comrades, that it was wrong to close Petrotrin. We said so then, and today we maintain that position simply because there were many options to closing the company. And if anybody should know that, it has to be the Oilfields Workers Trade Union. We were in a joint exercise with the Petrotrin board to radically restructure Petrotrin while at the same time keeping it in operation with the sole intention of increasing its profitability. Let me say that again to the critics and the sycophants and so on, and the corrupt politicians. Whilst at the same time keeping it in operation with the sole intention of increasing its profitability, and we were committed to do that on behalf of all of the people of Trinidad and Tobago. Let us remember that there was an April 3rd, 2018 agreement between the union and the Petrotrin board for the company's restructuring. This is why, when the government announced the closure of Petrotrin, the OWTU vehemently opposed that decision and immediately led a massive campaign throughout the streets of Trinidad and Tobago against the government's decision. Notwithstanding this, and the cries of thousands of our citizens, the government still went ahead and closed Petrotrin, and then offered the Portator refinery with its connecting port for sale. Recognizing the loss to our country, comrades, if these assets go back into the hands of the multinationals or into the hands of foreign interests, the OWTU took the decision to acquire these assets not only on behalf of our members, but on behalf of the people of Trinidad and Tobago. And that is why we got involved in this very complex and very costly acquisition process. I want to say this afternoon, right here, and pay close attention. You might have missed it. But I want to say right here this afternoon that no energy chamber or no business organization, none of our local banks or no local entity, none of them came forward to put in a bid to save the company for the people. They were just prepared, they were not prepared to invest in our country, never prepared. In response, the union incorporated a company called the Patriotic Energy and Technology Company Limited to save that company on behalf of all of the people of Trinidad and Tobago. And although they like to criticize us, none of them stood for Trinidad and Tobago. But pay close attention, all of them line up for government contract, yes, to improve their already enriched bank accounts, while they contribute absolutely nothing to the economy of Trinidad and Tobago. It is only trade unions and workers in this country who contribute to the wealth of Trinidad and Tobago. None of them do absolutely nothing. They do absolutely nothing for the benefit of our people. And so let us remind ourselves and tell them when the scribes come on the newspaper where they get the money from. They shouldn't have it. And I'm going to talk about somebody else who is against it just now. But when they come with that nonsense, spewing that rubbish, ask them the question, did you put in a bid? Did you stand up for Trinidad and Tobago in our country's darkest hour when the country needed you most? And the answer sadly is no. But as we pointed to a brighter day, it had to have been Charlie King Junction. It had to have been a union with the country's interests at heart. The OWTU rising to the occasion and forming a company on behalf of all of the people of Trinidad and Tobago. Why is everybody absolutely nothing? We took that bold step. So committed were we that we invested tens of millions of dollars into this very costly acquisition process. Putting together, pay attention, putting together a world-class team of experienced international lawyers, refiners, accountants, engineers, market experts, researchers and financiers. A comprehensive world-class team. Today, almost 2 years later, we have won the bid. We beat off, listen again, some 76 other international competitors in this complex international bidding process. Commerce, having satisfied all the government's requirements, we are now very close to finally closing the acquisition process on behalf of you, the people. And this afternoon, I'm going to tell you how Trinidad and Tobago will benefit from that very soon. As we get into the refurbishment and turnaround phase to prepare the refinery for restart, this will immediately involve approximately 4,500 jobs. Listen that again. As we get into the refurbishment and turnaround phase, well, let me put it another way. As our company get into the refurbishment and turnaround phase to prepare the refinery for restart, this will immediately involve approximately 4,500 jobs. And here's who? The scaffolders, welders, fabricators, helpers, laborers, carpenters, masons, technicians, electricians, mechanics, engineers, and construction workers. In addition, safety officers, local hardware suppliers, and other business owners are going to benefit from this massive turnaround and refurbishment exercise. Not even the Atlantic LNG would spend so much of money in their turnaround exercise. It is the Patriotic Energies and Technologies Limited of Trinidad and Tobago. Hundreds of millions of US dollars will be spent in this exercise, which will generate the much needed critical economic activity in our country. And if you think that there was ever a time that this country needs economic activity, that time is now. Yeah? We want to pump that into our local economy. And further, as the refinery is restarted with patriotic world-class team, today I can assure you that it will not be operating like its previous owners. Definitely, comrades, it will not be business as usual approach of the former entity. We're not going to operate as those lazy managers and lazy board of directors, both UNC and PNM, who operated those assets before. It will be different. With the highest degree of operational reliability and efficiency, Patriotic is going to guarantee a reliable supply of fuel for local consumption and for foreign exports. Patriotic will bring back, we're still talking about benefits to the country. Patriotic will bring back regular gasoline for the fishermen. Patriotic will contribute to arts, culture, sports, and to youth development. Patriotic will return the much-needed apprenticeship program where we will properly prepare our nation's young people for the world of work and for industry. As we restart the refinery, Patriotic will provide sustainable jobs for our qualified, competent, and experienced refinery operators, technicians, safety officers, maintenance workers, and other administrative support. In other words, comrades, Patriotic will store hope for the people today, whereas that hope is non-existent. Recognizing the benefits of this acquisition to Trinidad and Tobago and the Union's valiant attempt, you would think that every single citizen in this country would stand firmly with the OWTO. But because of the opposing agenda, unfortunately, this is not so. But this afternoon, let me unmask their real intention. Why would they not want the country to benefit? Let's ask the question. You see, with the closure of Petrosian commerce, the UNC thought that they will have a natural ally in the OWTO to fight the government. Because of course we're not going to take that. That is why they never lift a finger to assist us to prevent it from closing. Instead of filing an injunction to stop the closure, the UNC filed an injunction to prevent Patriotic from acquiring it. While the bright lawyers are famous for representing their people, they never step forward to help us. They really wanted the company to close the loopholes. And therefore, when the announcement was made that Patriotic won the bid, instead of congratulating us for standing up for the country, they immediately began to attack us. Why else would the honorable leader of the opposition disagree with this acquisition, where so many thousands of people are going to be employed? Why else would she disagree with that? Well, I'm going to tell you, it is simply because she believes that with so many people back to active employment and with economic activity regenerated in the country, this will only reduce her chances of winning elections. This afternoon, I want to say on this platform that it's not my business to know why or what the hell UNC do to win or not win an election. That is a matter for them and their supporters. My union's only business is to workers will have a decent standard of living and to really provide hope for the people of Trinidad and Tobago. But that is not Kamala's agenda. That is why Petrotrim was mentioned as one of the 5 pillars for economic recovery. That is why there is now a desperate attempt by her to free the former Petrotrim workers by promising them to reopen Petrotrim. Petrotrim is a door, she can just simply open it and walk in. Yeah? In Petrotrim's darkest hour, with its desperate need for restructuring, as Prime Minister, you must remember, she did absolutely nothing to save the company and to save workers' jobs. That is a fact. We wrote to her. Some 400 Petrotrim workers delivered that letter to her. And to date, there has never been a response coming from the Prime Minister then, Mrs. Kamala Prasad Visesa. And so let us sit down and talk about the urgency with respect to how the union is describing the poor state of Petrotrim at that time under her government, under her failed Minister of Energy. Yes? Failed. And now we hear that he's going for some seat somewhere. We know that entire story, Kamala, and we will tell it. But not this afternoon. So regardless of all those board mouths you hire, whose teeth often follow them out as they try to defend you, we are not afraid of them. We will continue to tell that story regardless. All of that is only a talk on monogamia to fool the people while taking bread out of the hands of workers just to get back in power. And now, just like how she's attempting to undermine the former Petrotrim workers, by her recent actions, it seems to us that she has absolutely no problem if economic sanction is imposed under our sovereign country. She has no problem with that. So, even though the economic sanctions will hurt local businesses, even UNC people will get hurt with it, destroy foreign trade, and wreak havoc on our citizens, it seems as though that is of no concern to her. Her only concern is to get back in power. But this afternoon I want to say that I am no friend or supporter of this government. And you would have seen a myriad of reasons why. No friend of them. But right is right, and principle is principle. And therefore we insist that the government's foreign policy on the sovereign Republic of Venezuela is correct, and therefore we totally support that. It cannot be, comrade, that we support a foreign power to remove a democratically elected government and illegally install an opposition in its place. It just cannot be. We renounce and condemn regime change by coup or by any surreptitious means or effort to remove a democratically elected government in any part of the world. But you see, desperate people will only do desperate things in their time of desperation. As a matter of fact, I want to reveal this afternoon that we are aware, and watch your seat playing out, we are aware that a certain political party so desperately wanting to get into government as part of their campaign strategy, they have already hired who? Political assassins. These political assassins, some of them will come right here. I'll talk about. They are also on talk shows. They are talk show hosts and bloggers on social media who are paid huge money just to attack my character and the character of persons who they believe stand in their way. and who stands up for truth, and anyone who are prepared to stand against corruption. They want to be attacking. That's the strategy. We are aware of a certain high-ranking individual in that party. That person was given the responsibility, and he has already approached individuals, offering them millions of dollars just to have them denigrate my character and the character of innocent person. That's one of the actions that is happening right now. They are by any means necessary to get into power. But today, I wish to warn that any person who is prepared to simply accept money, blood money, just to denigrate the character of innocent people, be warned that we have our lawyers on standby, just waiting for you to step on the line. We are waiting for you. This afternoon, on this Labor Day platform, as a responsible trade union movement, we have done our duty by reviewing the performance of the government and also highlighting the underhandedness and the deceit of the opposition. Clearly, whilst the PNM can be identified as the problem, the UNC is definitely not the solution. For us, at the Joint Trade Union Movement, it has always been that none of the traditional political parties have ever advanced or protected the interests of workers and the working class. The records are clear, comrades, that these political parties have always given priority to the elites and their party financiers. They do this at the expense of ordinary people who repeatedly, mistakenly put them back into government. As a people, we cannot continue to do the same thing over and over and expect a different result. Due to the inherent nature and construct of these two parties, they simply just will never change. They are different sides of the same coin. And that is why for us to achieve a different Trinidad and Tobago, our only option, comrades, our only hope is for the movement for social justice in Trinidad and Tobago. We maintain that ours is also a sacred duty to provide a voice for the voiceless and firmly stand in defense of the poor and the most vulnerable in our society, maintaining the true tradition of our founding fathers. This afternoon, we therefore declare that we will continue to raise these critical issues in our country, especially during this election season, especially during the silly season, where once again they will be coming to fool you for your votes. We will be starting with a national motorcade from Port of Spain to Faisabad. And because, comrades, because you are denied the option to march today, we also declare that as soon as all the COVID-19 restrictions are lifted and it is safe, very safe to gather, we will mount a march and demonstration the likes of which the country has not seen in recent times. We call on all citizens to firmly stand with us in the interests of our entire nation. All of us who want and deserve a different and better country. We call on you to join us in our struggle for a safer, secure, and a brighter Trinidad and Tobago. A Trinidad and Tobago where the poor, the ordinary working people, the pensioners, the most vulnerable in our society, where they are all treated with dignity and can truly enjoy a decent standard of living. So, as we look towards the skies, comrades, with our faith in Almighty God, and with the true conviction in our cause, let us all go forward ever, and backward never, because we shall never, ever surrender. Thank you very much, comrades.
Let's bring it back.
President General of JTAM, Corporal Answer Roger. Let's hear it. Inspirational. Remember, labor has value. Labor will not be bought. Workers' rights are important. Respect for workers. Now, we have a revolution coming. Not with guns, not with violence, but with the way we do things, with the thinking, with how we operate as workers, and how we transmit the values of the trade union movement to our youngsters. That is coming. Comrades, as we leave here today, as we leave this historic Labor Day 2020, we want to thank you for your support. Thanks to our colleagues from the police service again for guiding us, assisting us. Job well done. Yes, let's give them a round of applause. Come on. They are essential too. And as we go back home, go straight home, Go straight home. As we go straight home, you have diversions, okay. Whichever route you take to get home, let us remember, today we have an opportunity to do things anew. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Comrades all, forward ever, backward ever. Forward ever, backward never. Thank you.